Welcome back to the Minuteman Initiative, and welcome back to us. It's been a little bit since we've been knocking out episodes, but we're back at it again, and we're coming right back in where we left off with the modern Minuteman layout. This is part 3. We're going to be talking about rucksacks. What makes a good rucksack, what to look for when buying one, and more importantly, what do you got in it? Very dependent on what you're doing, where you're at, and your mission, but we're going to break it down, kind of fundamental stuff, keeping it basic, but trying to provide some good information moving forward. So, hope you enjoy this series as we continue it on, and sit back and enjoy the episode.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, it's been a while, but we're doing it again. We're gonna get back to it.
Getting back on the train.
Got to get back after it, dude. We had so many people reach out like, please don't stop the podcast. And we were like, we were really thinking about stopping it and just being complete. No, I'm just kidding. Dude, we've just been so busy. And also, we've had just the weirdest stuff happen. Well, some of it's not been weird, but I had a baby, so I took some time off for that, spend some time with the fam and enjoy my new little boy that I have, and which is cool. Family comes first, brother. But but also we were actually going to do a podcast. We were going to do this episode back a couple weeks ago, and dude, literally the day we were doing it, actually we had somebody DM us. They were like, hey man, when are you guys going to do your podcast again? And I was like, we're doing it tomorrow. And they were like, or I said, we're going to have one launching tomorrow. We're going to do it today. And then like an hour after that, we just got smashed. We got in a car accident. So Steven and I were both cruising.
Yeah, it wasn't meant to be.
And yeah, dude, it was my brand new, like it only had it for like 2 months. It was my Chevy Suburban. It was like a fully loaded model, and it was just so nice, and it was really perfect for like my family and I, and we're all like had just gotten used to it, fallen in love with it. And I guess we just weren't supposed to have that car because we got schmackled taking a left on a green light, and it was the first big snow of the year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which
well technically, yeah, first big one.
Yeah,
I think we had the snowfall before that, but yeah, it was the one that just was crazy.
Yep. Just that Alaska snow, man, just coming in heavy and hard. And turning left, and I just, like, right as we go through the intersection, I just see this guy just coming right at us. And brakes locked up, just sliding at full speed.
With the trailer.
Pulling the trailer. And he just popped us, like T-boned us right in front of the driver's seat, so like right in front of me. Airbags came out, the full 9.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
So
I think that's my first airbag experience.
Is it?
Like being on, like inside the vehicle when it happens, yeah. I've gotten in car crashes. My Jeep didn't have airbags, so.
Oh, I was going to say, I could have sworn you totaled your Jeep a while back. But
it didn't total, but I ended up selling it because of that crash. So.
Yeah, it was dumb. I mean, we were good. Everyone was good. Like, I mean, that's something to be thankful for. I just dropped off my kid, too, so I just went and picked him up at the school and had just dropped him off, so I'm thankful that one of my kids wasn't in the car with me, or any of my kids. It was just Steven and I, and who cares what happens to us, so.
Yeah.
But we were good. I mean, that car did a good job at protecting us. And
yeah, if we were in much smaller of a rig, I don't know.
Steven said, I don't even know if these airbags did anything. I don't think they touched my face at all. I was like, yeah, I don't think they hit me either. I mean, I was still wearing my hat. So I was like, yeah, I don't think they actually touched our faces. But
yeah,
we like slung more to the side, not like forward. So, but man, they came out.
Yeah, I think Jacob did more damage to the airbag than the airbag did to him. we got hit, and he got pissed because, like he said, he just got that vehicle. And he turned this I looked over and he just turned his airbag into a punching bag. He just started punching it just ferociously, just back into the steering wheel. And there was just smoke just coming out everywhere. And I was like, dude, roll down the window or something if you're going to do that. Because it was just kicking out the dust everywhere. And he was just like...
The gunpowder.
Just like smashing this thing back into the steering wheel. I think he was just trying to get it out of his face, but like he just like...
I was pissed.
Started giving it straight body shots, man.
Yeah, dude. I knew immediately. I was like, dang, dude, this thing is freaking done. Like, I just could tell. Like the way... I mean, it didn't look that bad, but... You know, they always say if the airbag's deployed, it's probably totaled. Like that's kind of the, you know, what a lot of people say. And then as soon as the damage estimate came back, I was like, that's a ton of money. Like there's no way that, you know. So long story short, you know, and of course the other driver wasn't insured. So advice to everyone: carry full insurance, carry full coverage, and get that added uninsured motorist protection. Because man, I'll tell you what. I would have been absolutely screwed if I didn't have that. I'm thankful for having good insurance because, man, it would have been, I mean, I would have been out just tons of money. So,
yeah, I would say definitely in Alaska do that because there's no requirement for drivers to, like, you don't have to legally drive with insurance. Like, you get hit, obviously, with a ticket, but
yeah,
it's not like, it's not something you have, like, you just pay your ticket and you keep on keeping on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's dumb, but whatever. I mean, again, thankful nobody got hurt. That's the most important thing. Other driver was fine. And of course, I just hate that this always happens low key. Like that guy hit us and just drove away. Like he just, you know, was able to just drive out of there. I was like, really?
Was he?
Yeah, he drove away. We had to get towed.
Those older vehicles, dude.
Yeah, and it was just where he hit us, I think. Like he hit us just right in the front of that.
Yeah, he had a bumper.
Front A-pillar and...
Well, he had a bumper too. Like his bumper hit the side of our vehicle.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, long story short, it's been a kind of a rough last couple, not rough, but just kind of a busy last few weeks. We had a lot going on at the shop too. Lots of orders to get done. You know, getting ready for Black Friday. We ran a few trauma classes. There's just been too much going on between all the regular things that happen around DDS and also my new kid, and then getting in a crash. We had to go to Anchorage and get a new vehicle, and Steven and I went up there and looked at vehicles not long ago, and we've got a new vehicle now, so that ended up working out. But so yeah, well,
what are we getting into today?
Let's get into it. So we left off at we're doing our Minuteman, modern day Minuteman layout series. So basically things you should have. And we've done the rifle, we've done load bearing equipment, and now we're moving on to the rucksack or backpacks, you know.
Yeah.
Pack systems, talking about what makes a good pack, things to look for, and then breaking down just basics on what to carry. This is something that is talked about a lot. And it's started to get talked about a lot, which is a good thing. This used to be an obscure topic.
Yeah.
This used to be something that no one was interested in. People didn't really care about. And the people that did care about it couldn't find anybody that was putting out good information. It was kind of weirdly one of those things I feel like where if you knew, you knew. And if you didn't know, then you just didn't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, obviously.
You almost had to go out and learn it for yourself.
Yeah.
Or be in a job that
required
you to learn it. Yeah.
Like the milli. But Steven and I obviously had that milli time, but there's a lot of good content actually and educational information on this now. But, you know, kind of looking at it from that Minuteman perspective, we're going to talk a little bit about it and break down kind of what you should be looking for and different things like that. So,
yeah. Yeah, and honestly, something to go along with that before we get started. You know, I've watched some of the content out there, and you'll see a lot of, you know, big name guys in the industry teaching this stuff, which, like Jacob was just saying, it's awesome that it's starting to get taught and stuff. But things that I've noticed that have been trending in these videos is like pack light, which I would have to agree with, but I will say you're better off overpacking at first than underpacking. Especially if you're dealing with like Alaska conditions or conditions where it's like
where the environment's actively trying to kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a good story for that I just want to bring up really quick. When I was a new private and I was in the reconnaissance world. So we were doing, I don't know, probably, it was like a 7-day probably reconnaissance mission. Me and another newer guy would always get weight dumped down on us, like gear or, hey, I'm going to give you this pack of monsters or something. Like not even lying, this actually happened.
Just the fuzzy pack mule, dude.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh yeah, they're the new guys, so we're just going to pack them down.
They're young, they can handle it.
Me and my buddy were like, well, screw it. We were both I was from Alaska, he was from Connecticut. So we were like, hey, we're used to the cold. How cold can North Carolina get, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So we decided to save weight by ditching our sleep systems and our whoobies and our cold weather gear in January in North Carolina. Yeah. So because we kept getting packed down and it was like we'd have 120 plus packs, you know. And in the reconnaissance world, you sometimes rucked, you know, anywhere between 12 and 18 miles probably into the spot that we were going into. So it wasn't like a small feat, I guess. So we were just like, well, we'll save weight and we'll be on the move a lot, so we're not going to get cold. Well, we froze our butts off for basically 7 days.
Sucks.
And all that to say, I mean, you're going to learn your lesson regardless. Just don't die doing it. So
yeah.
I didn't die. So, but yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of people that say, you know, oh yeah, you know, this is doable, but you're going to be much happier packing light. Well, yeah, I agree with you. Pack as light as you can, but also be prepared. So we're going to do our best to kind of break down different, I guess, how to pack a bag depending on the environment and like the mission.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure. And I'd say too, kind of to caveat on that, for you Alaskan listeners or any listeners we have that are in austere environments, I guess this would also account for extreme heat. Even though, you know, you can obviously get away with things there, but then there, as far as weight goes, because you don't have to bring as much insulation. So I'd say this is more for you cold
just more
climate
water
folk.
Well,
yeah,
there's got to be lots of water in cold weather too.
No, I would actually argue you're dealing with more moisture in a cold environment. I mean,
well, I'm saying packing lots of water in hot weather.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying.
But you're going to also have to pack lots of water in cold weather too, because
you deplete a ton of
resources when you're chilled to the bone.
Yep. But I will say from firsthand experience, I was stationed here, so I was an Arctic warrior, and so dumb.
I was but I was still cold.
Yeah. So
I felt like an Arctic warrior after that week.
Well, I'll tell you right now that you definitely don't short on up in this environment in Alaska. You do not short on cold weather gear here. Like, you cannot, because you will literally die. Like, if you don't have, I mean, we're talking like today alone, it was negative 12 degrees this morning. So sub-zero temperatures. I mean, we went up to Donnelly training area up in Fort Greely all the time, and we did our cold weather survival stuff up there. And, I mean, there was a night it was like negative 58 degrees, and it was like, are you serious? What is this? This is a cartoon temperature, you know?
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I mean, it gets insanely cold. So for you, fellow Arctic Minutemen out there, definitely do not short yourself on cold weather equipment, and do not choose that to save weight. It's one of those things where if you're sitting there freezing cold, miserable, you are going to really regret that your shoulders felt good on that ruck march. You know what I mean? Like, that movement out there. And I guarantee you, in the morning when you go to move, you're not going to give a crap about how heavy that is, as long as you're staying warm and comfortable, because there's not much worse than being like miserably cold. Being miserably hot is also terrible. But I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm I kind of enjoy cold environments personally. So like I like the cold more than I like the heat, but I'm talking being miserably cold, I think is worse than being miserably hot. Like I've been super hot. I mean, there's times in Afghanistan and even in the, lower 48 in the South where you're just like, dude, it is like, there's nothing I can do to cool down. And I'm so hot, and this sucks. But it's like, I feel like as long as you're hydrated and you're like not out in the beating sun, like I'll be full on honest. I haven't been in a lot of like desert environments, like where you're in dry heat, like stuck in the middle of a, like Breaking Bad style, where you're just out in the middle of the desert, like cooking meth or whatever.
Yeah, that's dry heat.
Yeah, but
I don't know. I've been like down in Arizona when it's really hot, and it's like it's a different heat than like GRTC is probably the most hot place I've been in America.
Yeah, that's
like
it was hotter there than it was in Afghanistan and Louisiana and Fort Polk. It was miserable. Like
I was about to say, there was like a 5-day period in GRTC that I was just like, no.
Yeah. Like you kind of start to panic, like you're so like hot that you're just like starting to move around awkwardly, like like you're just trying to like cool down, and it's actually making you hotter. But I'll say right now, being on that, like the polar opposite of that, where it's so cold and you literally are like, I'm not gonna make it. Like I'm so cold that this is it. Like I'm not making it till morning or whatever. That is like a weird. Your brain starts to go into some weird territory there, and what's even scarier is when you're in that mode and then you all of a sudden feel like you're warm, and then you're like, oh no, like I'm straight up hypothermic right now. So I don't know. Anyways, weird. We're gonna get off our soapbox now.
Yeah, as far as
weird direction immediately at the beginning. I feel like we would have got into that anyways, but so just getting straight into it, we're going to talk about, rucksacks. A rucksack's basically just a big old backpack. We're probably going to say ruck a lot because it's in our background. So, but that's what we're referring to. So talking about it, what's the purpose behind it? I mean, you got to carry stuff. And I think it applies to that Minuteman perspective and focus so well, because it's very dependent on environment and stuff. I mean, obviously, if you're in an urban area, your pack requirements are going to look a lot different than what our pack requirements look like up here. But, being ready at a moment's notice, being ready to respond, and stand in the void for your community, requires a lot of you, and it requires you to have a lot of things. Yep. And you need to have a way to carry these things. So I think having a good rucksack that's kind of in general loaded up, ready to go. I mean, there's things that you don't want to keep packed in your ruck, like your sleep system, and we can talk a little bit about that later. But we try to keep our rucks pretty ready to go. Like my rucksack doesn't change a whole lot. I mean, obviously there's changes before I go, but if I needed to go somewhere really quick, there's just a couple things that I have to throw in, and I could be ready to go with my ruck in about 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah, pretty easily.
I keep pretty much all my stuff like centrally located, like as far as like I can pack a bag, whether it's all of a sudden we're in the summertime versus the wintertime, I can pack a bag in like no time at all, because I pretty much have like drawers or boxes like dedicated to like, hey, this is winter season, this is summer season, and then good. I keep my ruck like the essentials pretty much all like stay there, like
the items that aren't going to change.
Yeah, like there's stuff that I just keep all the time, and usually, and like sensitive item stuff will just stay on my external pouches, so they just stay in there, and it doesn't change. So
yeah, too easy. So yeah, I think there's a lot of variation as far as what kind of pack you might choose or might want to have, and this is where you're going to have to put on your big boy hat and try to kind of think about like what am I going to be doing, like what is my mission. Like here in our environment, just as an example, we're in a very rural area, rural and remote, so it's going to be a lot of in order to maintain like security in the area and maintain control of like our community and maintain that boundary, a lot of extended patrolling and area denial,
Yeah.
And so we're talking more that 72-hour rucksack kind of size for us. But if you're in an urban environment, you might be able to get by with something more like a day pack or maybe a little bit bigger, maybe kind of a multi-day pack. So there's a lot of different things. I've noticed a lot of people, we've gotten a lot of questions too here at the shop, at the store, about like, hey, well, what pack do you recommend and stuff like that. So we're going to kind of start to break that down a little bit. So like some different types of packs. Now, this gets into the weeds quick. We're going to keep it super simple because like if you start looking into pack types, I mean, like just kind of preparing for this podcast, like looking into some stuff and making sure I was thinking in the right vein, or that Steven and I were kind of on the right track. I just typed in on Google, what are different types of packs, and it didn't get us anywhere that we needed to go. It was like, there's a laptop pack and a sling pack, and there's a, and it just like started going down in this weird, like there's the hybrid hipster pack and then the coffee espresso pack, and you're like, what's going on? So I was like, screw that, we're just going off of the old standard knowledge here. So we've got basically broken down by frames, and then we'll get into sizes. So external frame packs, pretty straightforward. Basically you have a frame that supports the structure of the pack. It's external of the bag, so it's a frame that the bag mounts to, right?
Yeah.
So like one of the most famous rucks out there is the Alice pack. It's an external frame. Some people might even consider that a hybrid frame, but really it's an external frame pack. It's a frame that's got the, shoulder straps and the kidney pads on it, and then a pack gets attached to that frame. Super simple, usually pretty cheap. Very, very popular up here for hunting, because you're having to bearing big awkward loads like a moose rack or something like that. Frame packs work really good. They're also pretty modular, so you can like take the bag off and then you could just fill up that rack or that frame with meat and stuff like that. So that's why you'd see a lot of that. But cool to understand because it makes way for a lot of kind of mission specific modularity. Like if you're just super duper high speed and you've got this awesome like drone setup or something and you're just going straight Ukrainian on it, then you might be able to like change things up and have a drone mounted to your frame or something. But I mean, options are endless. But then you've got internal frames, which is like more of your traditional like hiking packs, like your mountaineering bags are usually internal frame. So it's got a frame, but it's built into the bag itself. So the bag contains the frame, and the frame is it's usually kind of more conducive for like movement. It rides real close to you.
Yeah, it's gonna higher. It's gonna have a whole lot less offset than like an external frame would. It's gonna sit a little tighter to your body and
more balanced.
Yep, definitely more balanced. They're like the weight loads that they're rated for are usually not as good as like your external frame packs, but they're still internal frame packs that you can weigh down like crazy. So,
but usually with my experience, an internal frame will allow you to carry more weight more comfortably. So you can't carry as much weight as you can with like a big external frame necessarily, but you could carry the equivalent amount of weight much more comfortably on an internal frame than you can on an external frame.
Yeah.
They're also
that probably has to do with the offset, is
right.
Why? Because it's the farther it sits off your back, the harder it. Yeah. The more it wants you to like pendulum back,
Right.
So
yeah, I think most of your big name brand, like hiking, hunting, mountaineering bags are going to be internal frame.
I think like
maybe not hunting, but even then, I think there's been a lot.
I think like definitely high elevation hunting packs and stuff like that like are going to be mostly internal frame. So like I don't know, all those
high speeds out there.
All those high speeds. Like I think Mystery Ranch makes a lot of internal packs. I think Hill People Gear makes internal frame packs. I can't think of all the packs I think Kafaru might make internal frame packs. I don't know, but
yeah,
there's
a lot.
There's a lot of packs out there, a lot of names.
Yeah, and then you get into the frameless packs, which are exactly what it sounds like. It's just a bag, and then the shoulder pads and kidney pads and everything are sewn into the bag, and there's no rigid support. Some frameless packs come with like like I'm sure if you've
like an insert, basically,
like a rigid insert of some kind, usually like kind of like a some kind of poly material, pretty sometimes carbon fiber if it's super fancy, but and then they have like that some of them come with like a more H kind of an H style insert, H frame insert, but it's still just providing a little bit of support to the back of the backpack, so the portion that's riding on your back, but it's still technically like a frameless pack.
Yeah, and I think what that does more than like support the stuff, I think it just like it makes it easier for you to pack the bag because it kind of keeps it open as opposed to it just like falling in on itself.
Right.
Like I think that's the only reason those inserts are there.
Yep. Yeah. Well, go ahead.
But yeah, for that purpose, I mean, frameless packs aren't really good for like sustainment packs. That'd be more for like assault packs or something like that. Like definitely, shorter periods of time. Like we would do it pretty rarely, but I mean, like actually having like an assault style pack, like packed inside of our sustainment ruck.
Yep.
We didn't do it much, but every once in a while we did do it.
Yeah, we did that.
And usually like too. We would take those, like the insert that you're talking about, most guys would rip that thing out because it would make it so you could pack it down smaller. But
yeah, that's what we did. We would literally like take that insert out and roll them up, or at least I would roll the thing up and tuck all of the shoulder straps and everything inside the roll as you roll the pack up.
Yeah.
Like I'd leave it empty, roll it up, and then take the, like some of the, because usually they have like another pocket. I'd take the pocket straps and wrap it around the outside of the now rolled bag and like cinch it down, and I'd just pack that in to my ruck. But what that allows you to do is if you're going to set up like an observation post or like a patrol base or something, and you're going to do like a kind of a recon, you can pull that out, unroll it, and then fill it with essentials and like beat feet and kind of do a quick movement,
Yeah.
I actually kind of like doing that. Kind of a fan of it. But then again, I look back on it and I'm like, how often was that happening? Not super often. So it's kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
You can, if you got good load bearing equipment, you already have your essentials on you. So pretty much,
Yeah. And it just goes back to like, what's your mission basically. So
yeah,
that's an option. So
right. So then you got your hybrid frame, not as common, but there's a few companies out there doing them. I think like Kuiu has some hybrid frame stuff.
Yeah, there's a couple, a lot of hunting packs have them. Kuiu has it. They're all right. I mean, it's a different concept. I'm not saying one's necessarily. Honestly, I stick with external frames for the most part. That's just what I run, but not really because I'm set one way or the other, just because that's kind of what I got. So
they just work. An external frame honestly works really good for this kind of like mission like that. When you're talking about like kind of more tactical based stuff, patrolling and having like a ready setup to just kind of throw on and go. I don't know. I think it's kind of hard to beat an external frame. And honestly, that's why you see a lot of that existing in the military space. Like even, Mystery Ranch makes a lot of their bags with a kind of maybe even a hybrid frame. I think they might have some hybrid
they have
frames,
external as well, though. They have external frames and I think internal frame packs.
And then like, there's a few other companies that are doing it. And then obviously you got like your more surplus style stuff that some of them have like straight up external frames, obviously the Alice, but the old Molly Rucks too, and stuff like that. So, those are kind of some breakdowns of that. And then within those, I mean, you've got endless styles, I guess you could say. But those are like your big types, as far as getting into those bigger packs. And then the other thing that's really important to know, and I think a lot of people get confused here. I know when I was first getting into this stuff, like years and years ago, I was always kind of confused by this, but it's how packs are measured. So you got basically 2 measurement styles. And the most common one by far is liters. So you'll see like a liter size, and that's basically they take the dimensions of the pack and how many liters it can hold is how they, come up with that number. And then the other one is cubic inches. Excuse me. And cubic inches, just a simple breakdown. It's pretty easy to convert. So it's actually super easy to convert. You basically just add some zeros. So for example, if you've got a 40-liter pack, that's 4,000 cubic inches. And, if you have a 6,000 cubic inch pack, that's 60 liters.
Yeah.
6,500 cubic inches, 65 liters. So pretty straightforward. And they're kind of used interchangeably. Some companies like cubic inches. Some companies use that liter number. So that's just important to understand. And then kind of getting into like the size breakdown. So this is where a lot of people are like, man, I just, is a 20-liter bag like big? Like, and I've seen a lot of misconception too. Like people will be like, yeah, so a 20-liter bag is a 24-hour pack. That's like, yeah, kind of, but they don't really necessarily translate that way. So we kind of have a breakdown for that. So your 1 to 15-liter bags are going to be, really small, like fast and light bags, like your runner bags, a lot of like hydration pack combinations that like Camelbacks that have a little bit of storage on them. Those are going to be that 1 to 15 liter.
Yeah, or like your like the packs that zip on to plate carriers, or like your,
like flat packs, like the Haley flat packs and stuff like that.
Like that style, yeah.
Yeah, those are going to be your super small kind of go fast packs. Then you're getting into the 15 to 45 liter packs. That's getting into your like 24-hour assault pack territory. So 24, maybe 48. Once you get up into the 40s, you can start to kind of expand out past just a day or two.
Yeah.
So,
and I would say that's comfortably.
Yeah.
That's comfortably a 24-hour pack.
Yeah, in that range. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you can stretch it out to 72 probably. I mean, you might be getting a little bit like, this kind of sucks, but
yeah, you'd have to cut some corners somewhere.
Yeah.
And then getting into that 45 to 65 liters, that's your multi-day pack. So that's getting into like 72-hour pack territory, kind of like what we've been referencing, which, once you're up into the 60-liter territory, you're talking a bigger pack. And then you have your 65 plus, so 65 and beyond, so up into like your 72-liter, 80-liter, those are extended multi-day. So you're talking like 5 to 7 plus days, maybe even 10 if you are really good at packing. You could probably do a 10-day pack.
I think you easily could, as long as you know how to gather water. I think you can easily get out to 10 days.
Yep.
You should know how to gather water. So
yeah, absolutely. Future podcast coming. But yeah, understanding water gathering techniques, and then also just rationing your food accordingly. And if you're super high speed, maybe even setting some traps and getting some stuff. You're getting super Bear Grylls real fast.
You can go a long time without food. That's the thing.
Yeah, you can.
Like, yeah, it sucks, but
it's doable. That's why I said ration. Like, you can. I mean, if you actually like those Mountain House meals and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not even gonna get into MREs. MREs can make you last a long time, but like those little Mountain House meals, you actually look at the servings and stuff on them, and you actually math it out right. You can make those things last. Like, you'll be hungry, but you can make them last, and they're lightweight and they're easy to deal with. You probably won't poop for a long time afterwards, but at least you're alive to poop. But
yeah, MREs though, man, that's a game changer.
Yeah, it is.
I go a long time without even eating one of those, so
yeah,
I hate them.
So then, yeah, that kind of breakdown, I think that's a good breakdown of like your types, and then getting into the sizes. We're kind of going super fast and quick here. Just really basic. I think it's just, honestly, I've seen this is a deep, like getting into packs, Like there's some guys I've gotten into conversations with, and I'm by no means a pack expert. Like this is one of those things that I'm like, yeah, I've ran a few packs in my day, a few different companies and stuff. But I'm not like a guy that knows everything about every brand and what their priority is in building a pack. But man, there's people out there that do, and you can get nerdy quick in the pack world.
Yeah.
But which is good. And if you want to nerd out on it, go for it. But I think the whole point of this is like trying to get people to invest in something good, get a good pack set up, and start practicing with it and start putting it to work. Get used to it. So some packs we'd recommend, and this is based on like our experience as well as just, some other guys in our group, and then just good, like kind of that more military community or like, self-defense kind of community, I guess, across the board. I think any of these are going to work really good for the stuff we're talking about. So the first one we recommend is just the good old Tactical Tailor Malice pack.
Yeah.
It's the modernized Alice. It is such a good pack. We got a few guys that run them. Steven runs one. They're just solid. They're not anything
It's like the Mayflower chest rig of the pack world, dude.
Yeah.
It's just been around the block, but somehow everyone just keeps coming back to it.
They're just crazy. Like they ride real good. Like for this mission, we can talk a little more about fitment and stuff later, but and like how to have a pack ride in this world. But they do a lot of things good, but they're not. Don't think it's like going to be a super cozy pack either.
No,
I mean,
it's
if you're out there hunting for like a pack that you're like, I want to find a pack that when I wear it, it's like wearing a pillow on my back. You're just in the wrong world. There's a lot of, you have to sacrifice, I think, quite a bit of comfort for practicality in this kind of world. I'm not saying it's you can't find comfortable packs, because you absolutely can, but I don't think that should be your absolute top priority, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, good size. You can fit a lot in them. The pockets make a lot of sense. Lots of external pockets, which, is nice. It's nice. At least I like it. I like being able to compartmentalize stuff that I need often. Like
and
things
they're all sewn in, so they're not like molly webbed on like the old.
They're not molly flopping. Yeah.
They're not like the molly pack was,
Mm-hmm.
which was issued when we were in. But
Yeah.
that the thing just got so floppy so fast when you started adding pouches to the outside of it.
Yeah.
So
no. The double no, dude. Yeah, I mean I like having pockets or pouches on the outside that contain things I'm getting out and putting back often, like layers and stuff. In colder climates, like you're shedding and adding layers pretty constantly. I mean, there's, you get hot, take layers off, you get cold, put layers back on. Like it's a thing you're doing. And I hate having to like go into the main flap over and over and over again. Even if you have stuff on top, like I cinch my rucks down pretty tight. I like to keep them pretty buttoned up. So having like some external pockets that are just like quick access is nice.
Plus, the less you're having to go in and out of your pack, the more it doesn't get disheveled.
Yeah.
So if you can keep things from like organized and neat, for one, it keeps things more dry, and for two, it just makes it so you know where everything's at.
Yeah.
Because if it's pouring rain and you're constantly having to go in and out of your pack, it's obviously, even if everything's in waterproof bags, there's still watering entering your pack.
Yeah. You're just starting that humidor, dude. You're just that swampy ruck bag, dude. It's just no good. No good at all. Yeah, exactly. So that's nice. Obviously, the other cool thing about Tactical Tailor is if you have an old surplus Alice, you can send that bad boy in and they'll convert it. They're going to convert it to the old Malice, which is actually what you did.
Yep.
I kind of forgot that's...
It was an Alice.
Yeah.
It's actually the Alice that I...
Was issued?
Well, I wasn't issued it, but yeah. I mean, I kind of was issued it, I guess, but not
like
really.
It was your team standard.
Yeah, it was what I used my entire military career, man. I'm still rocking it to this day, dude.
Dude,
It's
so sick.
It has got so much time behind it. I love that ruck, but it definitely, you can tell that it's got miles and miles behind it.
Oh yeah, but yeah. You switched over to the Malice shoulder pads and kidney pad and everything.
Yeah, dude, it's a game changer.
Yeah,
It's because I was rocking just the old school Alice.
Oh yeah.
Before, and I mean, it was a little bit of a souped up Alice. It was a souped up by all the little Korean shops down there at Fort Bragg. So all those Fort Bragg boys, they all know about all the Korean shops on the outside. But
just making your alterations.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're just cutting hair, doing alterations on packs and
shining boots,
dude.
Yeah, dude. So sick. Dude, it's amazing. You'd be blown away at the. Never mind. No. There's just a lot of support there. There's a lot of little businesses that are supporting that Army war machine down there. It's kind of hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Any
It's
military
good,
base you go to, like, you're gonna have little
they did
shops.
They did the best work too, man.
They did. They really did. They do everything too. They'll hook up your uniform. If you start to gain a little weight, they'll let your pants out for you. And
I didn't know about that.
Oh yeah, dude. No. Oh, on your Class A's and stuff.
Yeah, I don't think I gained that much weight.
I didn't either, but I mean, I'd have to go to them now. If I ever wanted to squeeze back into my Class A's, dude, I'd have to be visiting the old shops. But
put on them survival pounds.
The old wintertime insulation.
Dude, it's cold up here too.
Yeah, it is. So moving right along from being fat, we got Mystery Ranch. Mystery Ranch is just one of those packs that's just, dude, it's made a name for itself in the military community. I remember going to Afghanistan, and it was like a thing. Like, I got one, a couple of my other buddies got one, and we got the old tri-zip. They got that tri-zip front, and I remember thinking that was the coolest thing ever. And they have a full line for like military guys, but even their just standard bags, like their outdoor use bags, they make some super solid bags. Really nice, a lot more comfortable. Rides a little more like an upright kind of hiking backpack, like an internal frame, a little more slimline, rides a little higher. Riding higher is something to consider. You don't necessarily want it to ride too high. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but really cool though. I really like them. They make a ton of different stuff. They've been making packs for a long time.
They make a lot of those assault style packs too that are pretty well done, that actually have lots of support still.
Mm-hmm.
And the like the multi-day packs, like the 45 to 65 liter packs that are also really solid.
Yeah,
I mean, they make other stuff too. They make a wide variety. They make everything from like smaller to pretty big packs. So
I mean, they make some giant packs.
Yeah.
They got some big old,
like
80 liter
65
bags
plus.
Yep. Yeah, really, really good company. And honestly, the price is right. Like, you start looking around at what a lot of these packs cost, and they're very competitive. I mean, you can get a super solid pack from them for that like $600 to $700 range, which might sound like a lot, but once you start looking at these packs, that's just how much they cost.
So if you're in a budget situation, well, I'll just say that afterwards. Actually, I'll get all the packs out of the way because.
And then you've got your which these are a little bit new to us, but we've been playing with them. The Crossfire packs. It's a company in Australia, and we kind of saw these guys pop up. They're kind of making their way around social media. You got guys like Redbeard Tactical and the Pines Contingency Group guys down in the Pacific Northwest. Down in the Pacific Northwest, That's kind of funny to say, but it is down there. They're running them. We've been kind of looking into them. So some of our groupie got it and got them and started playing with them. They're really cool. I might end up with one myself. Big fan of it so far from what I've seen. It's kind of a blend. What I really think it is it's like somebody looked at the standard issue old Molly Ruck and they were like, that thing's dumb. And then they looked at like the Tactical Tailor Malice pack and they were like, that's kind of sick, but like, why is it still like riding on that frame. And then they looked over at what Mystery Ranch was doing, and they're like, "Oh man, okay, those zipper layouts make a lot of sense." And then they just kind of sat down and made like a hybrid between the three of those. It's literally like good things out of the Malice kind of world, good takes from Mystery Ranch, and then it's just somehow ended up with that Molly Ruck style plastic frame, which is kind of crazy, but the old squeak frame, but
you're kind of there for it.
But it kind of makes sense, man. It's kind of a comfortable pack, but really well made. They've got the materials they're using are very high end. So yeah, the boys down under are making it happen. And shout out to our Australian listeners, by the way. We got a little contingency of Australian listeners, dude, that keep holding on. So g'day, and thanks for listening. So yeah, then getting on from them, we're going to Kafaru. Dude, Kafaru's been around for a long time, big in the hunting community, but also big in the old military community. So the
hunting community,
the hunting community in all senses of the word. That doesn't make any sense. We'll move on. The phrase is what I was looking for. Kafaru. Good stuff. No crazy firsthand experience, at least for me, with them, but I've messed around with their bags. Like, I've had buddies that have had them check this bag out. I'm like, sweet, and fondle it a little bit and do stuff with it.
Yeah, and heard good things.
Yeah. And then just guys I respect are like, dude, it's solid. So, tough bags. They make some tough, very tough, good bags. I'm not 100% sure how their frame system works. It's kind of like you buy, and I think it's a carbon frame. A lot of guys are doing that carbon frame thing now. I know Mystery Ranch has some carbon frame stuff going on. But yeah, you got to get your frame sized, and then you can kind of bag it up with whatever. So I'm not 100% sure if it's technically an external. I think it is. But yeah, but still really cool stuff. Just make some solid gear. Another one is Hill People Gear. Hill People Gear they make just good stuff. What I like about their stuff is it's actually similar to Kafaru in like design. I'm not saying that they like copied them. I just mean you look at both of those brands, you're like, oh, they kind of have the same idea. Very simple, not like just covered in crazy amounts of molly, just a good old bag, like it's a good shaped bag. It's not overly giant.
They're well built too. Like, it's all made out of good like materials and stuff. So, which I think is like kind of the main reason all these companies stand apart is that they make stuff that doesn't just fall apart on you.
Yeah, there's
that's ultimately like there's a lot of packs out there that look like all the packs we're talking about.
Yeah,
but are they going to actually hold up? And that's, I think, ultimately like, obviously like your Crossfire pack and your Mystery Ranch pack, they're different looking packs completely. So it's kind of like pick whichever one you feel you like the best, I guess, or whatever it may be. But we're going to recommend these brands because we know that they are made well and they got good quality control and stuff like that. But
yeah. Yeah, I mean, and like when you well, I don't know if I want to throw a company under the bus, but there's companies that make bags out there, and you're like, whoa, that bag's sick, and then you get it, and you're like, why does this bag feel like it's made out of paper? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just that floppy material, and then it's like colored all weird. And keep an eye out too, because some of these bags, like these weird bags out there that are kind of lower end, like, they look real nice, but then they're like significantly cheaper. I'm just gonna say it. So like 511, like. I mean, 511 has been a part of everybody's lives for a long time. I mean, I've gone through my 511 pants phase, before, and I think everybody goes through a 511 pants phase at some point.
Yeah, as
on their journey into this world. They make some cool pants, but at some point you kind of are just like, whoa, dude, like, like, why do I have these pants on? But they make packs, and I think some of their bags are good. I think for like civilian or like EDC kind of stuff, their packs make sense. But they make them out of those materials that are like it's like just a hair shy away from being like reflective safety material, and that stuff under nods looks like the sun. So just bear in mind that some materials are not like others, and you might as well be wearing like an IR flash on your back when you're running around.
Unless you're doing
some of that 511 stuff is crazy looking.
Say like unless you're doing like search and rescue or something, that might not be the best material for you.
Yeah, probably not. And to be quite honest, I've ran a lot of different bags, and they're mostly frameless. They're super floppy, and they're just not very comfortable once you're actually packing a lot of weight. So didn't really mean to throw them under the bus. They have good stuff they do, but I don't know if bags is one of them. Ebler stock, if that's how you say that, but I think it is. Ebler stock? Yeah, maybe. One of those two. If you type in what it sounds like I just said, you'll probably come across it. So, Eberly stock. That's what it is. Is that what it is?
Ebler stock.
Ebler stock. Anyways, they make good packs. We've messed around with some of their packs, and I probably like their bags the least out of everybody else that I've listed. But that doesn't mean I don't like them. I think they make like good stuff. I think some of their stuff is solid. They make a few packs that work on the Alice frame, like on that size.
Yeah.
Not literally on the Alice frame, but that same size pack, which is pretty cool because if you have like unit requirements or like if you're just wanting to stick to that footprint, they make packs that are in that footprint. So good stuff there.
And then the good old reliable surplus pack.
Surplus packs. Dude, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm rocking an Alice pack. That's my main ruck. That's my main bad boy right now. I got a few packs, and like I said, I'm probably going to give the Crossfire packs an old shot. I've had Mystery Ranch in the past. I'm probably going to send, after seeing Stevens and messing with it, I'm probably going to send my old Alice baby off to Tactical Tailor and have them do their workings to it. So
it's pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah, and they did such a good job. But those surplus packs, I mean, Blackhawk makes that rucksack that's out there, the SOF rucksack.
Not bad.
Thing's a bad boy. It's nice.
There's a couple companies that do it though, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what their names are, but you'll find them. Like, you just look up Alice packs or Malice packs or whatever, and you're just going to come across all the crazy.
Dude, and if you can find it not in ACU, there ain't nothing wrong with that Molly pack, man.
No.
It's a little squeaky, but man, that thing, you can put some stuff in that thing.
Like, really put some time into it, though.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, a lot of people are like, what? Mine doesn't do that. And it's like, just wait.
Just keep walking.
Just keep walking.
All of a sudden, one day, you're going to be out just stomping through the woods, and you're just going to hear, and you're going to be like, what the heck is that? It's going to be your rucksack crying. So, yeah, but that Molly ruck, man, there's some surplus rucks out there, and dude, you can get them for cheap. Like, if you're up in the Anchorage area, for example, shout out to 907 Surplus. That's a place that anytime we're in Anchorage, anytime us or any of our dudes are in Anchorage, we try to make a point to, like, let's hit up 907, or like, hey, stop by 907. They've just got good stuff there. We were just there, and the dude in there gave us some sweet deals on some stuff, and he's always got Alice packs in there. Like, every time I've been in there, large size, get large size if you're going to get an Alice pack. The medium and small Alice, trash. I just don't understand it. There's guys out there that are, just red rocketing around, and that's awesome. Shout out to Red Rocket Actual and his love of the mini Alice, but I don't know, but I love it. I love that he does it. I've honestly never ran one, so I can't really talk bad about it, but they're kind of cool. They look Gucci. Especially when you hook them up with those like Tegris frames that they make for them.
Yeah.
Kind of a sick look, but yeah, that's too high speed for me, I think. But where was I going with this?
You're just saying the surplus.
Oh, yeah, you can find surplus rucks all over the place. Like,
which is what I was going to get at.
Okay.
If you're on a budget, obviously surplus is going to be your cheapest bet. You can get an Alice pack for probably just over $100, depending on where you're at. I think for us, it's like 60 for the pack and 60 for the frame. Maybe that's a little high even, I don't know. But we'll say 120 and you got a pack, dude. Like it's actually a legit pack. Like you're out the door $120 and it's going to last you a long time. Like I just said with mine was originally just an Alice pack that's been now converted to a Malice pack. It's still the same pack. And I got years and years and like hard usage on that thing. Like, I mean,
like
I jumped that thing. I did everything with it. I was out in the field just sucking. That story I just told was with that Alice pack.
Yeah.
Like that Alice pack's been with me since I was just a young Joseph.
Floating across the water with it.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, yeah.
Water crossings, all sorts of stuff, man. I've turned
Crazy
that thing
stuff.
into a raft using a poncho.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I mean, it's done a lot with me.
Yep.
I'm a little bit sentimental value. Like I actually had my name tape sewn on it, but when I went to send it in, they redo the flap. So that actually removed my name tape, which is kind of sad, but that's all right.
Oh, that is kind of sad. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, they completely redid my flap, which my flap needed to be redone. My flap sucked.
It was barely there.
Yeah.
It looked tattered and worn and ready to go.
Yep.
So it went to its final resting place at Tactical Tailor's factory, dude.
Just a Barlow tag just floating around over there somewhere.
It's gone, dude. They incinerated that thing. So yeah, look for them surplus packs. It's a great way to get into it. And there's a lot of people that crap talk like Alice packs are like, yeah, that's just guys that are stuck in Vietnam. And dude, is it a super comfortable pack? No, but you can carry stuff in that thing, and they just aren't very big. Like, I mean, it's a 62 liter bag, I think. 62.
It's kind of short and fat, dude.
It's just a chode of a bag, but you can get everything into it.
Absolute little chungus, dude.
It's great for gunfighting. It's one of those packs that you can get in the prone with and just get right back up and just
keep on keeping on.
Wonder why your kidney pad doesn't work, but it's okay. So,
well, unless you send it to...
Oh, yeah, unless you're making a Malice, but I'm talking about just the straight $60 Alice.
Yeah.
You can get them for less than $100. So, mine's M81. Dude, I got an M81 one for like, I think it was $75. Bought it from 907 Surplus. So, too easy, dude.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
If you're doing budget, that, even Tactical Tailor's Malice pack, if you can find it in stock, it's like an Alice pack on steroids, but it's
a lot more expensive.
It's a lot more expensive, but it's half the price of like good Mystery Ranch packs and stuff like that.
Not the full Malice.
What?
Full Malice is like just shy of $600, dude.
Oh, is it?
It's like I think it's like $585 or something like that.
Oh.
Like the full bag with the frame and the pads and everything, like the Malice frame and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Which is really hard to find. The Malice frames have been back ordered for a long time as of the date of this episode, so I don't know.
Yeah.
If you're listening in the future, first of all, what's up? Second of all, I'm glad you got your Malice frame. Cool that you found it. Can't find them right now. But anyways, so moving on. Sorry, dude, I'm loose and fancy free today, man. I'm just kind of... Dude, I got my shoes off. That's where I'm at.
You do?
Do you? Yeah, dude. Dude, we were like really excited to finally do a podcast, and we're just lounged in here. I've got my shoes off, dude. I'm just socking it up here. Socking it up in the podcast section of the shop.
Yep.
So
yeah, me too. I did it early. My foot started itching, and I said, I've had enough of this, dude.
Dude, my feet were kind of cold. You know when your feet are kind of cold, and it sounds counterintuitive, but if your feet are a little cold in your boots, just take them out. Let them get in the air. Let them dry a little bit.
Let's say that's sweat, dude.
Yeah, dude. Get them clammy feet
it's just
dry.
like layering. It's just like layering.
Yep. We need to do an episode on layering.
Yeah.
There's a lot to learn there. And if you're living in a cold area, even a hot area, layering is important.
I know a guy we could
Sweat
bring in
management.
on that podcast, I think.
I do too. I think he'd be all about it. So, stay tuned. All right, so now we get down to the meat and potatoes. We've talked about packs, broken down what you should be looking for. Well, really broken down. Here's what it is. Now, what do you need? It depends on what you're doing. So, we're going to talk about what you should carry in your ruck. Now, we're basing this on a patrol-focused pack because this, Met TC, ladies and gentlemen, Met TC. So it's going to depend a lot on what you're doing. Again, if you don't remember from past episodes, Met TC is mission, enemy, terrain, time, troops available, and civilian considerations. I think I got them T's out of order, but it doesn't matter. They're things that you focus on when you plan your mission out. So very dependent on what's going on, what you're doing, what your focus is, what you're trying to accomplish, what your mission is. But for the purposes of this episode and just getting some good, solid things talked about, we're going to focus on a patrol pack. So 72-hour plus.
Yep. So
let's get into it.
I think we're gonna break this down on what we would pack in first. I think it's important to know when you pack bags. You pack, obviously, depending on the pack you have, you may have a pack that you can zip, like newer style packs, not Alice packs for sure, unless you have it like modified by someone who I don't know about. They'll have a zipper that runs down like the length of the bag, which allows you to access things that are in the bottom of your pack a little easier. Some packs you just straight up bucket fill style, like Alice packs, where you're just not getting to it unless you're like comfortable. Not comfortable, but like your movement is not moving anymore for a while, and that's why you're able to get down into that portion of the pack.
Yeah.
So another thing is, obviously, don't let this outweigh the fact that things that you may need to be on the top, but the lighter stuff need to be packed low, and the heavier stuff needs to pack high because it's going to ride better on your shoulders and on your hips, like for your kidney pad or whatever. So, sleep systems. That's what I usually pack in the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So, depending on weather, that may be a multi-sleep system. Like in the military, we got like a 2-bag system for like cold weather time. You'd have a bag that was inserted into another bag, and then you had like your bivy sack,
which is like
the full-blown sleep system. Mm-hmm. But not saying you have to do that, but obviously have a sleeping bag that, for one, can be compacted down, is fairly light, weight matters, is durable, and is rated to the warmth that you need.
Yeah.
And something to know about sleeping bags just in general, sleeping bags are like, their standards on how they're rated and temperature are not like really well like placed. Like, good sleeping bag companies will tell you, hey, this is rated to this temperature at a comfort rating. Where some sleeping bag companies try to stretch their numbers and they actually put their rating at like
survival rating.
Yeah, their survival rating,
which is not comfortable.
Yeah. So just understand that when you're picking out a sleeping bag, if you haven't already picked out a sleeping bag, but
do a little research.
Don't go outside and die in the cold.
It's very similar to how flashlight companies are with lumens.
Yeah.
Lumens is a very deceiving measurement, and the way you measure lumens can be kind of cheated pretty easily. So that's what learning about that is what that reminded me of. Hearing about it. So yeah, it's important to understand.
But there's tons of sleeping bags. You got synthetic bags and then down bags, but that's getting into a whole different can of worms. Just do your research on it is all I can say, because there's pros and cons to everything you do in life. So, next, you could do like a shelter of some sort. I'm not a huge, honestly, like, for me, this is like an area that if I'm going to skimp, this is where I'm going to skimp, but
same.
It's kind of dependent on the weather as well. Like, I'm always bringing a poncho though, which that can be turned into a shelter.
Absolutely.
So
probably 2. I'm a fan of the old dual poncho setup.
I like ponchos, man. They're kind of multi-purpose use. You can use them as an actual poncho, which is actually weirdly the thing I don't do with it the most.
Yeah. That's so true.
Like, to tell you, like,
with my 2 poncho setup, I usually hit one of them, the head's like tied up.
Yeah, the hood's always tied up.
Yeah.
Just hangman's new style, just string around the neck, dude.
Yep. You ain't getting your head in there.
No. And that's because it basically is turned into like a really lightweight tarp. It's like the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
You could carry a tarp. Some guys like carrying tarps. Tarps aren't a bad thing to carry, especially during like winter seasons. Like like cold weather, like
Yep.
like especially if you're in snow, you can get like white tarps, which work as like almost like an over white for your pack. Like if you're staging a pack or whatever, you can stage packs with a white tarp. Just make sure to test the tarps under like IR reflection and stuff like that, so make sure it's not just like glaring. Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing to know about tarps too is just be careful. Like, they're actually they can be kind of bulky and heavy, actually. Like if you have a pretty big one. And then also they're really loud. Most tarps are like...
Yeah, you got to find the right material.
You know?
And that's why it's almost like... It's hard in this area because pretty much everything that's like unique like that, you have to buy online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it makes it really tough to be like, okay, yeah, we're just going to take a chance with it. Where in like other states, you can actually go and like feel the material and be like, oh yeah, this will work, or this isn't going to work at all. So that kind of comes back to like common sense, I guess. So
yeah, and trial and error. Like, again, we talk about it a lot on this podcast, but now's the time. Like, get out and play with stuff.
Yeah, you may come up with something like just crazy weird.
Yeah,
like,
and it works for you.
And it just works fantastically. Like a perfect example is like us running those Sitka bibs as over white pants. Like,
yeah,
we didn't see anyone else do that. That's just something that we tried and it worked out. And it would have been an expensive endeavor if it hadn't. So
yeah,
but yeah,
it works good.
It works really good. Yeah, so something else that's super important, it's kind of, you'll notice that all these kind of like go hand in hand. It's like definitely like you've got to the end of your movement. This is like things that you're getting into, but like extra clothing is obviously going to be incredibly important. And going back to shelter, like tents and stuff like that may be important depending on how cold it is. Sorry, I'm kind of breezed past that. Forgot to mention some stuff, but
well, also like the way things are now, I mean, back when we were in, there was some really cool tents and stuff out there, but like something I saw a lot were like those hammock tents. Like a lot of guys like those because they pack down real small, real light.
They're tiny, dude.
I'm not a fan. I just don't sleep good in a hammock, and I don't want to be suspended up in something if I can help it. Like there's not a lot of like environments I've been in, even in the military, where guys are like, I brought my hammock tent, and then they just don't even get to use it because we're like, well, we're going to be in a patrol base, so good job, boss. Like, you know, like you're not getting to use your hammock tent.
Yeah.
But yeah, but there's legit like one to 2 man tents now, like those like mountaineering style tents. They're super good in like cold, high wind conditions, and they're light and they're tiny.
Yeah.
They're actually really impressive. It's a decent option. I will say though,
it takes setup, and it's like, and it's gonna be not normal looking. It's not gonna look like it's part of nature at all.
And it is very hard to find them in, you know, a lot of this market's catering towards, you know, like hiking, outdoor activity, recreational stuff.
Yeah,
even getting into like mountaineering, you know, where like high vis and like bright colors are encouraged, you know. They're good. Like if something happens, you can use this to signal. Like that way you can always find your pack, you know, even if it starts like, you know, you get like super nasty conditions, you can find your tent, you know. These are catered to that. So it's a lot harder to find the same kind of caliber of tent that's in like a camo color or like a earth tone. So
yeah.
Now there are companies that make pretty cool flies, like rain flies that are, you know, you can find like there's a few companies, I think, I want to say it's like, I want to say it's Fight Light or something like that. I know that's also they make those belt fed uppers, or there's a company that makes the belt fed uppers. It's called Fight Light, but I feel like maybe it's like Fight Light Systems or Solutions or something. There's a company, something like that, and I might be messing it up, that makes tents and flies and stuff that are like multicam in different colors like that.
Yeah.
The ratings look pretty good. Never tried them.
I know Kelty makes stuff like that as well, but Kelty has like a tactical side to their business.
Okay.
They also make like going back to the bivvy, they make like a bivvy with like structural like poles basically to like lift it up off your body, so it basically turns it into like a little one-man tent.
Oh.
So that's an option as well. I was going to go back to sleep systems as well.
Light Fighter. Light Fighter is the name of the company.
Okay. So
Anyways,
close.
yep.
Just had it flip-flopped. Bivy sack, like I know there's people that hate it and there's people that love them. I tend to err on the side of loving them, but that's because that's like all I ever used in the military. And not one with structure, just one that you drape over your face and you just
breathe in your
own breath
like a champ. And you have a headache in the morning.
But there's ways around it. You don't have to zip it all the way up. You can also just keep your face uncovered if you want.
Mm-hmm.
But some guys say, "Oh yeah, well you get a lot of water," and it's like, dude, I never took in water the entire time. I don't know if I just got the luckiest. It was like the same thing with like, oh yeah, 249s don't work good with simunation. Dude, I never had a jam one time with my 249 and simunation. Like never, not once. So, I don't know. I just maybe was lucky the entire time, but I just feel like that's not the case. I feel like I just maintain my equipment. And that's, you take care of your equipment takes care of you kind of mentality. You can't just treat things like trash and then expect it to like perform.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the bivy sack, you have to worry about condensation, so that's something to consider. But other than that, dude, it's like for patrolling, it is like the ultimate little way to sleep and stay dry.
Like if you had to pick one, you need to pick the bivy sack. Like that's what I'll say. Like if you can have both, that's awesome. But if you could only have one, then it needs to be a bivy. I think a bivy. Because you can make do, like you can make a hasty shelter out of like some pine boughs, like lean-to style. You can pop your poncho up at a 45-degree angle and rock and roll, and then you double down in your bivy, and dude, you're gonna be golden. Or you can straight bivy it. You're just in the bivy sack.
Especially if you're doing like subsurface serve sites and things like that.
Yeah,
like you don't need anything else but a bivy. You're gonna be. You're gonna be fine. I can tell you that. As soon as you go subsurface, dude, you're gonna be loving life.
You're just gonna be cocooning around, dude. And it's kind of
you're just gonna live in it for like days. But I mean, okay. So now that I got that off, because I kind of just breezed by, I got in the zone of just packing a bag.
It's important. I mean, that stuff right there is important.
But yeah, going back, like obviously the shelters. Like you said, that's going to be the first thing that if you need room or whatever it may be, which if you're running a bigger pack, you should be good. But that's going back to that weight thing. Like, do you need it? If not, then maybe don't bring it. But clothing, though, so I'm not huge into like. Well, in my world, I'm not huge into like ruck covers. I'm not saying that they're some bad thing. Like rainproof ruck covers is what I'm talking about, not camouflage ruck covers. I like camouflage ruck covers. But I don't think they're a requirement because of the way I pack my bags.
Yep.
So I pack my bags. Everything goes into its own. So I have a ton of different like
waterproof bags.
Yeah, waterproof bags. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So I have a ton of different waterproof bags of different sizes. And I basically have everything kind of organized in its own bag, which for one keeps everything dry, and for two, it allows you to know where everything's at, which I think is really important. It just keeps you organized. So making sure to keep your clothing in its own bag is super important. Sometimes I'll have it separated into even individual bags with the clothing. Like sometimes I'll have my extra top and bottoms in one bag, and then I'll have like socks and underwear in a different bag, just because I know that socks especially is something that I will go through more than I will my tops and bottoms.
Yep.
So, but having the appropriate amount of clothing, because hygiene's important. You don't want to get like sick or something out in the field. So you got to take care of your feet, especially like.
Got to maintain them flippers, man.
Yeah.
You got to.
Yeah, it's incredibly important. Like, change your socks. If your socks get wet, like, get some dry ones on.
I'm telling you, as soon as you start feeling like something weird's going on with your feet, like if you're moving, like even if it's a real situation, like, I mean, there's a time and a place, but if everything's chill and it's, you're uncompromised, as far as and everything's going smoothly, like, err on the side of caution. I'm telling you from personal experience right now, like, keep your feet maintained, keep those bad boys good to go. Like, changing socks out, like, if you stop for a long period of time and you've got security managed and everything's looking good, like, get a sock change in.
Yeah.
It's super valuable, and just changing your socks can do a ton for you, especially with, I mean, it's a can of worms, but you're talking like really wet environments and then also really cold environments. Both of those things together, which very cold environments are usually dry environments, but because it's so cold, you're always going to be fighting moisture because of your sweat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
and just your heat.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like being in a hot car, when it's cold outside, you get condensation built up on your windows. That's what's happening inside your boots.
Yep.
So that's where it goes back to, like, that's why I think actually layering podcast would be really important, talking about like how to properly dress your feet in order to.
Yeah, we'll knock that out here real soon. I think that would be super good to get out.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Are we good with clothing?
Yeah. Did you talk about, like, well, I mean, yeah, you kind of just did, but layering system, like, again, we'll cover back down on this in really soon, hopefully next episode or two. Well, we got a couple more to go here for the Minuteman layout.
Oh yeah, but yeah, having the layering within, that obviously falls into clothing. So
yep,
base layer, mid layers. It depends on the temperature also. Like,
yep,
I tend to kind of lean more toward having multiple layers, because then you can kind of like, you can take away some and then add some, or, you can kind of play with what you got, as opposed to just being like, hey, I got this really warm coat on and I'm just going to stay warm in this, because if you start sweating, then that becomes an issue. So, like,
yeah,
have a way to downgrade, but also have a way to upgrade as far as the layering goes.
And we're talking about actual layering system, like base layer, thermal layer, that kind of layer, not like, oh, I've got 3 tops on, like that. I just want to clarify that. It sounds silly, but I've had a lot of people ask, like, do they mean like have multiple layers of like combat shirts? Like,
yeah,
no.
And then also like knowing what kind of materials work good for what.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely hit that, and that'll make a little bit more sense whenever we hit that podcast next, because that's kind of its own podcast within itself. Because
you go on any blog, like Outdoor Research has a blog on it, Mountain Hardware, companies like that, and you'll find good information on layers.
Yeah.
So you can find it. Just look up
honestly, like guys who are doing like mountaineering and stuff, those guys are going to be
a wealth of knowledge
when it comes to that kind of stuff. So same kind of vein, but like your shells, meaning like your rain gear and like Gore-Tex and things like that.
Your outermost layer. Yeah.
Yeah. So
which is what a shell is.
Yeah. Having those in your pack as well. If they're not being worn at the time, obviously have them in the pack, and have those are the type of things you definitely want to have toward the tops of your pack, because depending on where you're at, when it rains, it pours. And, like if you're down in Florida or something like that, I've seen how it rains down there. They get the flash floods. It's crazy. It's like, what's up? It's raining all of a sudden, and it's like I can't even see like 2 feet in front of me. Crazy, like rain. So,
dude, that rain always catches me off guard. Like here in Alaska, it does not rain like that. Like when it rains hard here, like it's so funny. But like, man, it's pouring outside, and you look outside, and it's just like, psst. You're like, okay, but
every once in a while it'll rain hard though here.
Yeah, but it's still not like that East Coast rain.
Big raindrops though, dude.
Sometimes. I know, but it's not like that. Like, dude, I was down in the lower 48 a couple years ago, and it's like a wall, dude. Yeah. It was literally like we're driving down the highway, and I saw this dark, just Sith cloud just appear overhead.
It's like all of a sudden you start driving toward a waterfall.
Star Destroyers were coming out of it, and I was like, what in the world? And then, dude, just Death Star rain, just, and he literally drove into like the Great Wall of China of rain, dude. It was crazy. Like, I was like, what? It kind of scared me.
What's crazy is you come out the backside of it too.
Yeah, it was just, oh, and you're just like, it's done raining. It's weird.
Like the equivalent of jumping out of like a C-17 or something.
But it was actually like
from like,
I was hydroplaning a little bit. I was like, oh, because I've like never hydroplaned before.
oh, dude, yeah,
Until I
all the time.
driving in that recently. Like this a couple of years ago. I was
But
down
say,
there with
dude,
our
that
mom,
East
and
Coast, man, it's crazy. It's different over there when it comes to rain.
it kind of scared me. I was like, I want snow instead. I know what to do in the snow, in the
It's like
ice.
all those places that hurricanes hit really hard. Yeah, those places are
Anyways,
intense. But yeah, if you live in those areas, definitely have rain gear easily accessible because and we don't have to worry about it that much, but I still have my rain gear pretty easily accessible just because I
Yeah.
hate getting wet, dude.
well, I mean, don't get me wrong. It gets wet here.
Yeah.
It's just weird. The rain's not like, I think a lot of people say, man, just assume it's like Alaska. It snows a ton, so it must rain like crazy here. No, the rain's different, but it can be wet. I mean, it's just one of those places where
It's
once
just
you're
one of those
wet, you're
times
just
when-
wet forever.
When it's the wet season,
Everything's wet.
It's just wet for like
Yeah.
like 2 months straight, and you're just like, well, we're just not getting dry. Like if you're out in the woods during that time frame,
Wet,
you're just going to be
soaked.
wet the whole time.
Yep.
So you're
Just-
just going to be in rain gear. It's not like the East Coast where like it'll rain like really, really hard, and then all of a sudden it'll just be like the sun's out, and it's like, oh, this feels nice.
Yeah, no, it'll just be wet for months. And
Yeah.
you're like, why?
And you won't see the sun. But Alaska's tough. Alaska's tough on everything, so I feel like that's why we get to test the limits of our gear up here for sure.
Absolutely. Exactly.
Yeah. No, dude.
Yeah.
So I kind of mentioned obviously bags for compartmentalizing all your gear, having waterproof bags. It's not a bad idea to have extra waterproof bags as well. Like you can literally just like, because they're tiny, you can just roll them up and stuff them in somewhere, like whether that's just in a pouch or something, because you can use it to like pack your dirties in, or hey, like I've worn this gear quite a bit, I'm going to push this into that and have it separated, or whatever. There's a lot of purposes behind it. You can even store water in it if you want to. Like,
Yeah.
water won't go into it, so it's not going to come out of it either. So it's usable for like a water bag as well. Moving on to water, though, obviously you're going to want to have water and food.
Yeah. Gotta carry food and water. Yeah.
Like that is super important. This doesn't have to be, I wouldn't say food's got to be at the top of your ruck. I would say definitely having your shells and stuff like that is super important to have near the top. I think your sleep system, shelters, your clothing, all can be down toward the bottom when you're packing for sure. Your food and water. Your water, depending on what you're using, if you're using like Camelback systems like with a hose, you can just have that stuffed up. I usually, like when I did run those, I don't run them anymore because I don't like drinking out of the tube. Not saying you don't have to drink out of them. Like they work perfectly fine.
Great. They work good.
I prefer like Nalgene's or like canteens or something like that.
It just makes you feel like more of a human being again, like being able to drink out of like a cup or something.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that kind of keeps you like grounded.
Yeah.
You're just not like just a cog in the machine, just supply water, just drinking it out of a little tube.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, but
It's just yucky.
yeah, the Nalgene bottle, the Nalgenes were great, but I usually ran those all the way up against like basically my pack and my frame, like upright, and then just ran the hose up out of the top. And some of them have like slits, like some packs will have slits that it'll like shoot out, it can like come out of the pack without having to like route it out of the top of the pack or whatever.
Yeah.
Most packs will actually have that, but that's a great option if you have Nalgenes. For me, like I'll have some on the inside of my pack, but then I'll have some that's on the outside of my pack that I can get to a little easier. And then obviously I have some in my actual like chest rig. Like I have one in my chest rig.
Which this is why we talked about this in the LBE episode, which was the last one. But like having them lickies and chewies, like snacks and stuff, like in your chest rig is so nice because you can kind of keep that like, keep that kind of sustenance on board a little bit. It just kind of takes the edge off, just getting a little snack in. So on that, Steven was talking about not having food like at the top of your ruck, and I would agree. I mean, usually if you're going to stop and eat, you got time to kind of, like, you don't want it buried, but
yeah,
that means if you're stopping to eat, you got time, you got a little bit of time to get in your ruck. But having some like power bars or something, maybe in like an outside flap, or like, a lot of packs have at least like the little sleeves on the side. That's a good spot for a Nalgene and even some like power bars. Some
and one thing you can do is like, all right, this is going to be the first like licky and chewy that I kind of want to like get to. You put that in like one of your smaller pouches, not taking up much room. You have more inside your pack, like actually buried, not buried, but I'm just saying like it's not like up in a location like ammunition might be, or something like that. But it's in there. So like, hey, I got some time. I'm going to restock my lickies and chewies pouch or whatever, my motivation pouch here. And it's easy to do. Like, you don't have to carry a ton inside of your chest rig. I definitely wouldn't dedicate like a ton of real estate to lickies and chewies, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I'm kind of just like throw in a Werther's Original kind of guy. Like, that's not taking up much room at all.
Jolly Ranchers.
That can honestly, like I'm a big shoulder pocket guy for that kind of stuff anyways in my uniform. Like, that's honestly where I carry the majority of that kind of stuff anyways. So
much wisdom, dude.
But yeah, food and water. So lickies and chewies, that would include that. What do you think some good food suggestions for this kind of stuff?
Definitely things that can get kind of kerschmackled about. Like, I know that might sound weird, but especially since I use the word kerschmackle, but like things that can get smashed and not break. Like, you don't want a carton of eggs in your rucksack. That's dumb.
No. Unless you got one of those weird little egg.
No, dude. You don't like eggs. I mean, come on.
Dude.
I mean,
we all had that guy that took hard-boiled eggs out to the field with them.
We did have that guy. You know what?
Gotta get those gains,
I'm not going to lie. I was that guy a couple times, but just usually starting like, dude, there's nothing like a couple hard-boiled eggs just getting sucked down for like a early morning ruck march or something.
Yeah.
Dude, just get that protein packed on board. Anyways, dude.
They do make those little hard egg cases.
Yeah.
Dude, trash.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of, like, obviously your like Mountain House meals, like your freeze-dried meals, super solid. Like, you can bring a lot of them. But you do have to add
water.
You got to add water.
I would say that's the biggest downside with them.
But you're going to boil it. So there's, you can think about that. I mean, if you're in an environment like here where water is readily accessible, straining some water through something like a filter, maybe not even, you don't honestly need to really filter it. Just filter out like the sticks and stuff, or like if it's this time of year, pack some snow into a
or just carry like a little screen, dude.
Yeah,
like, that's not taking up any space at all,
dude. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've busted out my jet boil, packed some snow into it, and then just mixed in some Mountain House stuff. You get a little bit of pine needles and stuff in there. It's fine, dude. It's rocking and rolling.
Just a little extra vitamins, as Bear Grylls would say.
Yeah, vitamins. But yeah, that's no biggie. You're boiling it, so just make sure you do boil it if you're doing that, because that'll kill all those bacteria in there that are dangerous for you. It doesn't kill them all. Like, a lot of people think it kills it all. It doesn't. There's some that can survive it, but they're not deadly to you, or they're not bad for you. So, dude, MREs, I mean, I am tired of eating MREs. I'd be okay with never having to eat one again, but I got a big box in my garage just for a rainy day. And, dude, I mean, you can get packed in with some. They
work well too, man. Like, you can, I mean, the calorie intake on an MRE is supposedly, it's not supposedly, it is enough to last a full day. It's all 3 meals. I totally put that to the test a lot of times in the reconnaissance world.
Yep.
Being in a surf site where you just couldn't get out and you were subsurface and you were just there for days and days and days. Sometimes I didn't eat just because we weren't doing a lot once we got in there.
Yeah.
You're just stuck in a hole. So you're not having to eat a lot, but you have it in case you need it.
Yeah.
And I'd say it's definitely important to keep the energy up, because when you do have to exfil, you're going to feel it. Like, there was times where I got out and I was like, dude, I should have ate more and drank more.
Yeah.
So you can feel it once you start moving.
But
yeah, I mean, the MRE is hard to beat. Mountain House, hard to beat. I'd say the Mountain House, obviously, you can pack a lot more because it is freeze dried.
Yep.
So it's all the moisture is obviously sucked out of it. So it's like pretty compact. And then once you add water, it kind of like swells up a little bit.
Yeah. Takes a lot more time too. That's the thing about Mountain House. They're not MREs. You can eat them cold all day. I mean,
yeah, and you
got that bread in there that was made by NASA. And
what's
you got
nice,
some crazy pouches and like.
What's nice
whatever.
about the MRE too is like you crack it open, you take like the peanut butter packet out. We're going to peanut butter because that's where I'm at.
Yeah, dude.
You steal that peanut butter out, which if it's cold out, peanut butter gets kind of weird fast. But anyways,
it kind of turns into
like a rock, dude.
Clay.
Yeah, it's like man, not nearly as good. Not the best for wintertime activities, but you can pull the peanut butter out. You can wrap that sucker back down, throw some duct tape or whatever, 100-mile-an-hour tape if we got them Army boys out there.
Hoorah. That's an Army.
Hoorah. What?
Yeah.
Anyways.
That tells you how
brains.
much we actually said hooah because it wasn't often.
Anyways.
And if we did, it was sarcastic. All right.
So, and then you throw that back in your pack, and you barely even touch that MRE. That MRE, and guess what? You eat the peanut butter out, and you're happy. Like, you got lots of energy.
Here comes Steven with his peanut butter.
Well,
dude.
I'm just saying, like, you get your peanut butter.
Peanut butter's solid.
That's like almost a meal right there, like in some cases, depending on what, like, especially if I'm weird. Like, if I'm not doing a lot of activity, I don't get very hungry. If I'm doing too much activity, I'm not very hungry either. So, like, I got to be somewhere in between. Otherwise, I'm just not hungry. I'm one of those guys. So, yeah. I mean, I don't, like, it's not going to, like, that whole peanut butter packet that comes in an MRE, you've literally only eaten, like, maybe a tenth of what the food is left in the MRE.
Yeah.
And I'm, like, happy already.
Yeah.
Like, that can serve as a meal. And
sure.
I still basically have a full MRE left.
Yep. Sometimes you get lucky, you get that MRE that's got that little Tabasco shot glass inside of it. Dude, you can swig that thing down and you'll wake up and you'll feel good. That capsaicin will flow through you and you'll get kind of warm.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Just shoot that Tabasco sauce.
But yeah, I mean, the MREs are solid. Obviously, you can do your own freeze-dried meals, like if guys are super intense out there doing it. I mean, that's not super intense. It's cool, actually.
I'm all about it. I'm being serious.
Jerkies, things like that. Things
Sick.
are super easy to...
I'm getting into making my own jerky.
Well, even that or store-bought. Like, store-bought jerky doesn't take up much room. It's pretty light.
Dude, but beef jerky's gotten crazy expensive. You seen how much it is? It used to
stupid.
be... Like, I remember going out in the field and stuff, and you'd get it, like, for $8.99. You'd get, like, the pemmican beef jerky, you know?
Just get the pepperoni sticks, dude. Those things still are staying cheap, dude.
Dude, now it's, like, $25.
Yeah.
Plus, 18 to $25 for beef jerky, but I'm making my own. I'm messing around with making my own on the Smoka. So
sweet.
Try to divvy that out once we get it figured out.
Start vacuum packing it, dude.
Beef jerky's solid. Like Steven mentioned, for your kind of like your
beef jerky is
boost.
like a solid one too, as well as like not only like, hey, this is actually doing good things for my body right now, but it actually is like, this is awesome tasting. Like when you're out in the field.
It just turns you, it just like refocuses, like, dude, we're out here smoking people. Like, it's a manly snack, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can just get that beef jerky, you're just ripping pieces of meat off of it. Dude, it's good. I was going to say, though, going back to Lickies and Chewies, you said Werther's Originals, those Jolly Ranchers, things like that are awesome because you can kind of like pop it in and suck on it and it's quiet. It's not like, like crunching around on a Snickers or something like that.
And as weird as it sounds, well, Jolly Ranchers are a little bit stronger smelling, but like both those don't have like a really, really strong smell. Yeah. Which is not like, I mean, if you got like hound dogs or something out there looking for you, then yeah. But
Maybe
I'm just saying, like,
crazy.
If you're trying to be pretty sneaky, obviously smells have to be considered, like mints and things like that. That would be, I don't think that stuff travels nearly as far.
No.
But mints are actually like Lifesaver mints.
Yeah.
Are a solid one too. I like mints.
Yeah, for sure.
It just like makes you feel like your mouth's actually clean for once. That's one thing with Jolly Ranchers, the aftertaste in my mouth.
Oh,
gets so weird.
It's kind of heavy.
Yeah.
Bagels, dude. Bagels are one of those things that you can't kerschmackle them as easy. And they take up a little bit of space, but you can
just smash
you
them
can
in
smash them in there. Exactly.
It's not gonna
Treat
hurt
it
them
like
either,
a stuff
dude.
sack, dude, and just send it.
Got those like raisin bagels,
Oh
dude.
man, and they're packed. They're packed with calories. Like,
Yeah, dude.
you actually looked at the calorie count
on top of that, dude.
Yeah,
If you're getting crazy,
dude, solid.
Bagels and
you're gonna bring
honestly,
up bread,
like tortillas too.
Oh yeah,
It's
tortillas.
not a bad option either because
Kinda
it's kind of
two
the same
ends of the spectrum.
concept. You just shove them down in there, dude,
Yep,
and they're just not going to do
tortillas
anything.
are awesome. I forgot about like just a flour tortilla.
Yeah,
I mean, I prefer corn tortillas if we're being serious about it, but as far as like just something that you get again schmackled into your rucksack, dude, a flour tortilla is one of those
dude, and
things.
they come in the waterproof bag.
Yeah, they do. They're sealed up. It's a no-brainer, dude.
Another thing you can do, obviously, you talked about protein bars. You can also pack protein powder, which doesn't take up much room. Just make sure you have it in a decent container.
Oh.
That it's not gonna like bust open and turn
Yeah.
into like a dusty parade. And you're
Just getting just Pablo Escobar real quick.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Protein powder. You can do same thing with like kind of like vitamin based stuff. I mean,
Whoa.
what?
I don't know.
Just like I don't know, like you can do like like grains, you
Yeah.
know, like vegetable.
That's actually solid. Like it'll do a lot for you.
It'll help you poop, dude.
No way. We both just did
Which
that.
is important
Yeah.
on the field. You gotta be able to take poops
Got to get it out, man.
because
You're already
I'm telling
carrying
you, you're
enough
gonna feel
weight.
light on your feet afterwards.
Dude, we're just in the same zone right now.
It's because
It's hilarious.
it's two guys that have been there and done that, dude.
And not been able to poop.
Yeah, dude. MREs, man, they do a reckoning on your
Yeah.
bowel movements, dude. But yeah,
It's like passing a cork after you get after you finally get out of there.
it just flows out.
Dunk. Oh man.
So, anyways, do we have any more on food and water? Make sure to bring lots of water, though. I can't stress
Yeah.
that enough. Like, you can go much longer without food than you can water. We didn't really push the water. We didn't drive the water home, but I'm going to say that now that we have been talking about food.
While we're on it, obviously water purification and being able to store surplus water. That's huge. What?
I don't know, dude.
being able to purify water. So like, and I'm not talking like a life straw. I'm talking like actual, I usually have water purification tablets like in my chest rig, something quick.
Yeah.
But having actual like water filters and stuff like that, where
Yeah.
you can filter a surplus of water, and then having like a storage bag that you can pack down real nice. Again, Steven already brought it up, but your waterproofing sacks can double as that super quick and easy.
Yeah.
You can move stuff around a little bit if you need to. I usually like to roll up a pack like that and just tuck it away. That's specifically for like storing water.
Yeah.
I think it's a good move.
I think I currently am running the Waterworks Platypus, which is basically like it's a water filtration system that has like it comes with a dirty bag and a clean bag, and then it's got a basically you can use the dirty bag, go up and just scoop up a whole bunch of water, take off, which is nice because you can just seal it up, throw it back in your bag, and you can take that to like a safer location to like break down your water. But it basically runs off of, it's a gravity.
Yep.
It filters your water by gravity, so you hang your dirty bag up higher than your clean bag, and it doesn't take much. Like literally, you could have your you could be rucksack flopped, have your clean bag laying on the ground, and you can have your dirty bag like suspended to like the top of your rucksack, and it's gonna do it in like no time at all. There's other systems out there that work the exact same way, or there's like the kind that you have to push through filtration system. There's obviously like a little bit bigger systems, but like your electric ones, or not electric, but your manual ones or whatever, like the pumps and stuff like that. The only problem with those is you have to do it at the site.
Yeah.
You don't have to though. If you do what you were just talking about, you can do it that way as well, where you just take like a big sack, fill it up, and then just run it directly. Yep. It's just a little bit more bulky. Like the Waterworks Platypus is like packs down into a pretty small bag.
Yeah.
And it's
The gravity feed stuff, I have the exact same thing. It's made by MSR, so it's the Gravity Flow X something. I don't know, Trail X or something like that. But MSR makes it same thing. Got a clean bag and a dirty bag, and they connect together and create or filter your water, and you can do it on the move, which is sick.
And then have backup filters. Obviously, that's pretty important if you are running whichever system you want to run. There's some other companies out there too. I can't really remember all their names, but they all kind of have the same systems. But yeah, those work really good, and it's kind of a hands-off, which is what I like about the gravity-fed ones. Mm-hmm. Like, you can step away from it and, like, continue. Like, if you're doing observation or whatever, you can, like, continue to, like, get behind glass and observe while your water's just getting made for you behind you.
It's sick. It's good stuff.
So if everyone in your group's, like, running that, how easy is it to be like, hey, I'm going to go retrieve water. I'm going to send out a 2-man team. This is just hypothetical, but hey, we're going to send out a 2-man team to this water location, retrieve water. But you just grab everyone's dirty bags from them, go out there, retrieve a bunch of water, or like half the guys' dirty bags, and then start hanging them up and letting them filter. And then you replenish everyone's water.
Yep.
It's quick. During the wintertime, obviously, if you have heat, you can make water.
And also, I mean, just a heads up, you can do this too. It's a kind of a tried and true method. Just put it on inside your layers.
Yeah, which is a form of heat.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, but I mean, on the move, like you can keep moving.
Just take one of those bags that you were just talking about, fill it with snow, stuff it in between your layers.
Yep.
While you're rucking, if you're on like a long 12-mile movement or whatever, out snowshoeing, you're going to be making some warmth in there, and by the end of the movement, I almost guarantee you have like yourself a little pouch of water.
Something to consider with that, it is going to cool you down, so it's going to bring your body temperature down. So something to think about.
Maybe a good thing.
Yeah, it could be.
Just layer up a little bit more, and like that's why you got to go out and put this stuff to the work is what I was about to say. Put this stuff to work, because you start to understand. Okay, well, I know kind of roughly. For these conditions, I know when I ruck, like, this is too much layering. But what if I add, like, a cold, like, basically, like, a cold pack, pretty much is what it's going to be inside. Like, is it going to be too much layering then? And it's like, well, you just got to go out there and try it.
Yeah.
But
if we're done with water, I'd say a stove and kicking, dude. Stove and cooking tools.
Yeah. Going back to that heat.
Yep.
In the wintertime, if you're going to be running mountain houses, things like that, freeze-dried food, it's good to be able to make hot water. That's kind of important. I run a jet boil. Some guys run the MSR stoves or whatever. They're all pretty much the same. I don't think there's one that's better than the other.
Yeah, I mean, I like being able to throttle, like, which I have a jet boil too. I have the newer... I always forget what it's called, but it's their it's just like the old MSR stoves. Like, I used to like the MSRs better because you could throttle them. They had you can input how much. Do that. The jet boils don't do it as well. Like the cup systems, they're kind of like, you kind of can.
They have that weird little stem thing that like comes out and you can control it, but
they're kind of either.
I just go 0 to 100 real quick, but I don't really care. I'm just like, I'm just trying to get this water to a boil. That's another thing. Amazing. Top ramen.
Oh yeah,
which is weird, but like, hey, whatever.
Dude, ramen is a win out there. It's warm. It's got MSG in it. Just gets you going.
I was about to say, dude, like chicken noodle is all about that search and rescue lifestyle, dude.
For sure. Some warm chicken noodle. Shout out to Caden.
Yep.
He told us that.
But yeah, so different foods for different missions. But yeah, no, I think it's super important. I think it can be used for a lot of different things too. Like, let's say, hey man, you got a cold weather injury that happens.
Yeah.
Body heat obviously is a good way to warm up. So like, if you have to get naked with the person, get in a sleeping bag with them, but also you can warm up water with that. Throw hot water bags down inside, like basically like hand warmers pretty much, but like water bags, like if you don't have hand warmers.
Yeah.
Heat up a bunch of water and throw it in there with you and get it nice and
works
up
wonders.
Into temperature.
That's another place that water storage bags are going to come in super handy.
Yep.
Doing stuff like that.
So it's There's a lot. There's so much, and there's stuff that probably we're skipping over, like things that we even know that we're just not thinking to remember, like to bring up, just because until you're kind of in the moment, you don't really think about it. But like that's something that I just thought of just now. Like that wasn't something that was planned that we're going to talk about. Like a lot of stuff's not, but
we're kind of riffing here.
So, like, I think it's incredibly important. I think there's benefit to being able to heat up stuff. That's why I lean a little bit more toward foods that don't need it, because I would rather save that gas and that stove for maybe something more like emergent like that, or like
for sure,
hey, I need warmth, or hey, my filtration system somehow broke.
Gotta boil water.
I gotta boil water.
Yeah,
water's more important than food, again, like I keep saying. So that's where I think that comes in. It's almost like a contingency for me in certain areas.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to kind of get in the mentality of like comfort is very low on the totem pole here. I mean, it's nice for your morale, but comfort's low. Like, get used to eating stuff cold. You don't need to heat stuff up. Like, I remember there's guys in the military that just always wanted to use that heat pack to heat up their meal. And almost every time it was like, get it on, like I didn't even get to heat up my meal yet. And they're like trying to like scarf it down. Ate. It's like, yeah. And it was like, you should have eaten it. You don't have time to use that stupid thing.
I was about to say that was early.
And there's been tons of times after that mentally I can just wolf down a cold meal and it's no problem. Like, it's not like, oh, I wish I could warm this up. It's just like, dude, this is good. And then you're done and you're like, sweet, time to move on and get bigger and better things accomplished. Like, you don't need warmth. What I will say is if you're in extreme cold and you have the time, a warm meal is going to help your body temperature a lot.
Yeah.
And it also, you don't want it to be super hot, because then you're going to use energy. Your body will actually have to reduce that heat a little bit. But if it's really cold, your body's going to have to use a lot more energy to warm it up. So, keep that in mind.
And also, it would help with your core temperature in general as well.
For sure. Yep.
Putting warm fluids or whatever into your body.
Mm-hmm.
Like even like just like if you got water, like if you're able to just heat up water and drink warmer water.
Yeah.
Because like the most important thing you can do for like cold weather injuries is to warm the core. So, and then that's going to heat up your extremities after that. So that's like, you focus on the core first.
Yep.
And then the extremities will it'll buff itself out afterwards kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, it's also good for your morale, like I was saying. And I don't want to understate that. Like, if you're kind of into that mode where like you're starting to kind of get like borderline suicidal, like it sounds weird, but it can happen. Like what you said in a past episode, you said, you were saying, where it sucks so bad that you're like, maybe it is better to just be shot,
Yeah.
Or maybe it is better to not be alive anymore. When you're kind of in that, or like you're kind of in that like emotional state, like I've been there before where it's like, you're literally about to have a mental breakdown. Like, you're like, dude, this sucks so bad. Like, I it's hard to explain, but you kind of start to have like the involuntary, just like
panic,
like you're just like, oh, and you're just about to lose it. Taking a second and having a warm meal will reset you. Like,
yeah.
So I'm not saying,
and don't be afraid to be like that was something that, I was so worried about as like in the military, like to be like, hey, we're going to take a minute.
I'm having a tough go of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, most of the other guys on the movement are in the same boat as you. Is what you're going to
Okay, let's take a break for Barlow.
I'm
take an E, guys.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're stopped.
You'll take that. You'll take one for the team. Yeah. But, I mean, it rarely happened, but I do remember one time I about had a heat casualty, and my medic was like, wanted to just thermometer my booty hole. Ooh. And I didn't let him. It never happened the entire time I was in the military.
Oh, you kept your virginity right on.
Yeah. Dude. Hey, my medic was like, dude, I'm going to get that cookie. I'm like, no, you're not. You're not getting it. And they were like, dude, I think I need to get it, though. Seriously, like, I think you're overheating. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just going to drink water. And we all took a minute and take a break. And even my platoon sergeant came over, and he's like, no big deal, Barlow. Like, I think we're all sucking at that point, so you're good, man. Don't, like, stress it. Like, he even came over. He's like, I was even starting to suck there for a minute.
Yeah.
And, like, everyone just got down and drank water and, like, kind of pulled security while I kind of, like, regrouped. And that's the only time it ever happened. But it happened all the time, like especially long movements. Like I said, I mean, there was times we'd do 18 miles in one day, and you're out in the middle of the sun with 100-pound ruck on and full kit, and you're just like, dude, I kind of hate life right now, and it's really, really hot. And if you're not drinking enough water, that can potentially happen. That's why you got to take your, that's why I push the water. And that's where I think maybe the Camelback is smart for certain people that haven't done this a lot, because it's right there, and it's like, okay, I need to drink water.
Yeah.
Like, it's a reminder. Where like a Nalgene might be like, I don't want to say like more experienced, but just like it's not as easy to get a drink of water, I guess. So you have to kind of like force yourself a little bit more with that. I think I got to the point where I was trying to go to. I don't remember where I was going. Oh, just don't be afraid to like, hey, I'm sucking right now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Want to get into survival gear and fire starting kind of stuff?
And kind of talking about actually
same kind of territory.
Same territory. Like if you don't have a jet boil, there's still a way to make heat. It's crazy. Fires, man. They've been around for a millennia.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, one of the best like fire starting kits out there, like hands down. Dude.
Flint steel.
Bic lighter. Stop being so prepper version 10,000 out here. Just, I've got my flint and steel. It's made by MSR. And like, just, I mean, this stuff's cool, but like, just throw some lighters in your bag, man. You will.
You know what's awesome about lighters too? And it's something I've done forever. I don't know who showed me. It was probably like a squad leader or something at some point in my military days.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
You can turn a lighter into like a roll of duct tape, like so easy, or a roll of electrical tape. Like I have one lighter that's literally an electrical tape and duct tape all in one.
Yep.
Like I remember actually we went out to the field with our guys, and one of the guys was just like, that is such a good idea. I've never thought about that. When I pulled out my lighter, and all I was using was for the lighter. I don't think I was using, or maybe I was using for the tape. And he was like, is that a lighter in there? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, that is such a good idea. I was like, yep. But it's just little things that, you
just pick up along the way.
Yeah, it wasn't like I came up with some brilliant idea. Someone showed me that years and years ago. And
some old crusty dude.
Yeah, some old salt that probably had some terrible advice as well.
You probably were getting your ruck laid out. And he was like, Barlow, check this out. Get rid of this stupid roll of 100-mile-an-hour tape. Grab your lighter. Wrap it around, unroll it off of that, and wrap it onto that. Boom. And you're like, roger that.
And then I was like, and then I probably told some Joe later on that was...
Stop being dumb. Do this.
Yeah. And it just gets passed on that way. Some dumb things get passed on that way too, but we won't talk about that.
Leave those behind. Fire starting stuff is so important. And go out and practice starting fires. Like I'm telling you right now, starting a fire is not as easy as people think it is. I've ran into so many people that are like, oh, yeah. Like, I'm like, you think you could just start a fire? Oh, yeah. Okay. Have you done it? Well, yeah, a long time ago. It's like, go get good at it. Figure out what works.
Yeah.
Things work different in different environments. Like some materials, like some things are better for your tinder, and some things are better for like actually starting the fire. Carrying little like cotton balls with Vaseline is just a tried and true fire starter.
That's what I do because it's cheap for one.
Yep. It works.
Like I got Vaseline at the house.
Vaseline, not gasoline. Don't put gasoline on cotton balls. That's combustible.
Dude, I never even thought that that would be terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vaseline, like the lubricant.
Yeah.
Take that.
These rucksacks just spontaneous combusting out there after listening to the podcast.
Yeah, you take those cotton balls though, Vaseline, just put them in a Ziploc bag. It's super compact.
Yeah.
And you got like a ton of cotton balls, like just rubbed into it. Like literally you just put it all in a pack in the Ziploc bag and just rub it in. Mm-hmm. And then when you pull it out to go light it, you just kind of fluff it up so it's kind of aerated.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing's going to light and burn like a boss.
Yeah.
In Alaska, we got tree beard, which is also good. That's like a natural fire starter. You just pluck it off branches like spruce trees and stuff. And it's just like, it'll just burn.
Yep.
Obviously know what kind of wood to retrieve if you're burning like stuff out there. If it's really wet out, like it's smart to get trees that haven't like fallen. Like, so like dead trees that are still standing are going to be not just like soaked with water that
Yep.
like compared to a tree that's like laying down and just been like soaking it up for however long. So like just little simple things. It's like, honestly, like you said, just go out and do it.
Do it too, because I mean, there's things you'll figure out like signature reduction. Like some materials produce less smoke than others.
Yep.
If you're East Coast guy and you've got just leaves everywhere, leaves are good at starting fires, but they make a ton of smoke.
Yep.
Trying to reduce your signature, if you're a small element moving around and you might have hostiles around, you don't want to be making smoke. You don't want to really be building a fire at all. But just considerations. These are things that you're only going to know if you go try it. You got to do it. Make fires in good conditions. Get good at making a solid fire just in like perfect weather conditions, no moisture. And then go out when it's soaking wet and try to make a fire. Completely different animal, but try to get good at it. If you can make a fire in the rain, you can make a fire anywhere.
Yep. That's super important.
Yeah.
It's actually easier to make a fire in the snow for sure than it is to make a fire in the rain. I think.
Yeah. Easily. I mean, it's super dry in the wintertime. Everyone thinks that like it's cold. The only thing is if you want to try to knock off a lot of your ice and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Something else you might notice is if you get a really fast wintertime like we did this year, you'll notice probably when we go out and do some stuff for our cold weather training that a lot of downed wood is probably waterlogged and frozen. So then when you go to heat it up, it's going to then like have all this water in it.
Yeah.
So you have to usually put those next to the fire and let them dry out.
Yeah.
The benefit is a lot of that crap that's no good, that's waterlogged and frozen with water in it, is under the snow.
Yeah.
So you're probably not going to run across it. So yeah, the snow, wintertime is pretty easy to build a fire, but in contrast, it's the most important time to build a fire. Usually that's when you have the least amount of time to build a fire. Because if you're building a fire in this environment, with this mission set, something bad probably happened.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to build fires really.
No.
But if you got somebody that's got hypothermia, like there's things you're going to have to do. At some point, you'll have to do some things. So you got to know how to build a fire.
I think that's kind of a last ditch effort.
Yeah.
Is fires, unless you're like you're like almost like the dominant force, like you're the big dog.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not saying that you can let your guard down, but I'm just saying, like, obviously if you have like you control a certain area, it may be like a safer area to actually start a fire.
Yeah, and you might be out there, like we always talk about, that Minuteman focus is not just combatant. You could be out there trying to, like, it could have had a bad natural disaster and you're out
search and rescue,
doing search and rescue stuff, or just going like out into remote areas checking people's houses, making sure they're good and they're alive and they got food and that they're not in need of assistance. Or maybe it's kind of like in reference to what Steven just said. You're kind of the big dog on the block in a way, like you're just preventing like looting and kind of that rape pillage kind of vibe. You're just stopping that, doing like area security and stuff. And in that world, I think you can get away with a fire pretty easily. Yeah.
And then also like that could, in that same scenario, you could just be hunting for your community.
Exactly.
So it's like
subsistence stuff.
Yeah. It's probably safe to start a fire if you're out just hunting. Like if the thing you're out looking for is animals, you're going to be all right with fire. But yeah. But still important to have it, and still important to have the capabilities at all times, because obviously survival in general.
Yeah.
But more survival type gear, that could be like, depending on your mission set, it could be like what are those called?
Flare gun?
The inReach.
Oh,
an inReach.
Your hand came up and made like a...
Which obviously from a patrolling aspect, that I don't think an inReach is going to do you much good, but inReaches, signaling devices.
Yeah, signaling
so like,
stuff, yeah.
Whether that's like smoke grenades, if you have smoke grenades.
BS-17 panels.
BS-17 panels. You can just have like big orange reflective panels, which are basically what BS-17 panels are, but they don't have to be BS-17 panels. You can pretty much substitute anything that is in that vein, I guess. Obviously, like like hatchets or axes if you do need to chop down wood. Obviously, I'm not gonna say go out and get like a super heavy axe, but depending on your mission set, you may need it. So
Yeah.
You can't really retrieve wood if you don't have a means to retrieve it, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and that could even just be like one of those little handheld saws, you know.
Yeah.
Which
for sure
are pretty important in the reconnaissance world anyway. So, you got anything else on that?
Not really. I think you know, kind of segueing out of that into like just stuff for keeping you well. So like hygiene stuff, like hygiene kits, maybe even some medical redundancy, like things like that. I think are really good. They're kind of in the same vein. So, you know, having a good solid hygiene kit, you know, toothbrush, you know, things like that. Maybe not toothpaste necessarily, but be able to like, you know, honestly, having a little tube of it in there is not a big deal.
No.
Just make sure it doesn't smell super crazy.
Baby wipes. They're super important to have in there because you got to keep yourself clean and get like the unscented, obviously.
Yeah.
Like foot care, like moleskin, I think is important to have in like hygiene kits.
Powders and stuff.
Powders like for what's that called? What's that called? The monkey.
What?
I can't remember the brand of it. It's like a foot powder, but it's like for your groin, dude.
I don't know.
Man, it comes in a little yellow bottle. It's got this monkey on it. I remember it.
Got a monkey on it?
Yeah. Called like we'll never forget it because my drill sergeant was like, "Be careful, privates. Gonna get that monkey something." I can't remember what it was called though. Dude, I laughed so hard.
Oh, that's hilarious. You looking it up?
Monkeypox. No, just kidding. No, I don't remember what it's called, dude. Monkey butt. There we go. That's what it's called. Monkey butt, dude.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so.
No, dude. Monkey butt, anti-monkey butt powder, dude.
Yeah, there it is. There's that yellow bottle, dude.
Great anti-chafing powder. Dang,
so
I've never
it's
heard
kind
of
the same thing as like foot powder, but it's literally designed to be put up in your groin. Like if all those guys, all them thick-thighed ruckin' boys out there know about the chafing in between the thighs, dude. You're not to be too graphic, but you're that sack and them thick thighs, dude, all just getting smashed around up in there. Dude, it is rough times sometimes.
Oh yeah. Dude, I always used either the Gold Bond or that old Arm & Hammer, dude.
Gold Bond's dangerous, though, because you got to get the right stuff. Sometimes that stuff will burn.
Oh, man.
But, yeah, the old anti-monkey butt, dude.
Crazy. I'll have to check some of that out.
But, yeah, foot powder is kind of universal, so it kind of works for everything. It works for your feet. Obviously, it works for your monkey butt. But, yeah, you can even get it between your cheeks, too, which... I didn't have much issues with that, but dude, I knew guys that did. Dude, that might be a worse spot.
I've only had it a couple times, and it was bad, dude.
That goes back to baby wipes because make sure you're clean after you drop a deuce, dude. Because if you have that
crotchety out of there,
if you got some greasiness in there, and then you go to ruck, dude, that thing will just rub raw.
Yeah,
and I've had that happen. And it's pretty bad.
It's no good.
It's a bad shower later.
Grody. It is a bad. Yeah, it just
like
burns.
OC straight in the crack.
Yeah, having if you having some simple eye care stuff, I think is really important.
Yeah.
Obviously I wear contacts and stuff, so I already have this, but even if you don't, like little saline bullets are super smart.
Which could be
like
good
a scratch
for
in your eye or something.
Like abrasions and stuff like that. Like if you get them
irrigating.
Yeah. So having that kind of stuff smart. There's probably stuff I'm not thinking of at the time.
Meds would be like basic pain
if we're getting
meds.
into medical stuff,
like we'll just kind of cover it all because they're kind of, self-care stuff.
Yeah.
And then we'll
like Tylenol, ibuprofen,
constipation pills, like anti-constipation pills, and then which stool softeners.
Is why I was saying that greens is important because if you do like simple green or something like that, if you find something like that that'll kind of help you like keep your digestive tract like on track.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, definitely bring
If you
Because
can,
that stuff's so small, it just literally will come in like such a small little bag, like little.
yeah. If you can score some, get some antibiotics and have them in your stuff. They're kind of harder to get because it's prescription, but if you get a prescription, just go refill that prescription and try to keep like even if you don't need them anymore, and try to keep those antibiotics.
I always keep
around.
the little Neosporin pouches too.
Yeah, those are good.
Those aren't bad to have for just
any kind of antisepsis stuff is good.
Yeah. Obviously, as far as medical, have like redundancies on your bleeding control stuff. So chest seals, tourniquets, dressings. I don't want to say you can't have enough dressing, but obviously your pack is like most med kits are only going to come with like maybe 1 or 2 dressings depending on the med kit.
Yeah,
like,
it'll be a small one.
So having bigger stuff like, Israeli bandages or like some of like the abdominal / stump, North American Rescue bandages, they like open up, something like that. Like some of the bigger items, SAM splints would be important to kind of have in that category.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to tell you how many SAM splints, but if every single person in your team is running at least one SAM splint, you probably have quite a bit of SAM splints in-house.
And if you have a designated medic, then he or she needs to obviously have their, what they need. And if you have someone that is qualified enough to be designated as a medic, then they're going to know what they need. So,
yeah. Definitely. So, and just like you said, if you have a designated medic, obviously they're going to have a med bag. So, they're going to have extensive stuff, like IVs and things like that. But if you don't, if everyone's kind of like, if you're just rolling off of like everyone's a medic kind of mentality, maybe having IVs and stuff, like dedicating, that you're going to kind of carry this specialty medical gear and you're going to carry this you're going to have a litter, you're going to have stuff like that, so that's where it kind of gets into that like kind of SOP area for sure. Packing it, but just kind of to get your brain thinking in that area. Definitely smart to have not only bigger items, but like some redundancies and like some of your stuff that you don't have to get to like super quickly, like pills and meds and things like that.
Right. Really quick on pills, make sure that they're like they're either bagged up nice and tight, or if they're in little bottles that you pack like cotton into them so they're not making noise.
Yeah.
Pills can be noisy.
Which I think is important to say with anything. Like, make sure you don't have a bunch of stuff clunking around inside your rucksack. Like if you got mags all in one pouch and they're just smashing up against each other. Yeah, go. That's not really doing much good things for you right there. But
you don't want to be jangling around.
So just be smart when you pack. Also, not gonna say that this is necessarily like the best piece of advice, but if you ever go and get surgery and you get like prescribed medication that you normally can't get and you don't use it all, maybe save it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying about like antibiotics and stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I'm just saying,
try to get a prescription refill even if you're not out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Good stuff.
But the same thing with pain meds, I would say.
Oh, you're saying like them perkies, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, because you never know.
You just never know, man.
Yep. Get some Vikes on board and just be good to go, dude.
Yeah, but just be smart with that, because obviously you don't want to be just like, take this.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I mean, and then that also leads to like potential, like, don't go down the road of addiction, because
don't do it.
Pills are kind of a dangerous. I'm just saying for
some people. Yeah, some people are.
So if you can't store them and you've got an addictive personality, don't do it. But I'm just saying, like, I'm just telling you what I kind of do. Like, if I got extra stuff, I keep it where kids can't get to it, and I save it for in case like
things get weird,
supply chains go down, and I absolutely need, like, I hate pain medication, so it's not. I'm not going to use it inappropriately, that's for sure. But anyways, another thing, kind of in the same kind of situation. So, sewing repair kits.
Nice.
They always made us carry them in our layouts in the military, and the reason why is because things bust and break, and like the story you were just telling the other day, like crotches rip out and pants, and it happens. There's just nothing you can do about it.
And then balls are in the wind, dude.
Yep.
In a foreign country with everyone seeing your white balls. Yep. It happens, dude. Felt good, though. Good to get some airflow in there.
Yeah. It's a good moment to like put some monkey butt in there.
Yeah. Just yeah, good things to have in there. Obviously, little needles, different kinds of threads. Bonded nylon. Bonded nylon thread is what you want. It's really strong. It's good for like outdoor use. Also, I like having clothespins and stuff like that in that kit. And then you can get them super easy now, but cheap, like little buckles, like plastic, like tri-glide buckles and stuff like that.
Or even like replacement buckles for like if you're running plate carriers and stuff like that. It's not a bad idea to have replacements for your placards.
Yep.
Like the buckles for your placards.
Yep.
Because that stuff can break.
That size, like that 1-inch webbing size, is solid. That's what a lot of like straps are on backpacks and stuff too.
Yeah.
But just look at your backpack, like whatever, double down on whatever
or your
you need
chest
redundancies
rig
of.
Yeah. Just look at it and be like, yep, I need this. Not saying you need to go overboard, like you need to have one of everything, but
no,
because you can
just
probably make do with. You can always jimmy rig.
Yep, you can always tie stuff off and like a champ.
But yeah, and then also they make those patch kits that are basically like a adhesive.
Mm-hmm.
They'll like seal up. Like we got them issued to us for our multicams. And it's basically just like a little patch kit that you just sandwich on either side.
Yep.
And it seals up holes and stuff, which is important because if you're out in the dirt, muck, and mire, you don't want all that just getting inside. If you can prevent it, I would prevent it. So, but yeah, that's too easy. Ammunition surplus.
Yep, have extra ammo.
You got to have extra ammo. Like I'm talking, and whether you want to do ammo in boxes or loaded mags or bullets on stripper clips or whatever I kind of tend to lean toward loaded mags just because it's faster. Yes, it's more bulky. Yes, it's probably a little bit more heavy, but you know what? When I need it, it's pretty easy to get up and operational again. So
yeah.
I'm not going to be dinking around with trying to jam mags like in the middle of a gunfight.
Yeah, and also if you're on top of that, like if you actually get into a gunfight and you're having to do reloads, there's a high chance that you probably had an emergency reload at some point, and who knows where that mag went. And if you can't find it, then you've got more mags on board.
Yeah.
So it's I think having extra jammed mags
and mags
is awesome.
Can get destroyed too.
Yep.
Like if you're having issues with this certain mag, like feeding, hey, sorry mag, I'm gonna keep you loaded up in the pack, and I'm gonna swap you out with a mag that I can rely on. Like yeah, you're still there if I absolutely need it, but it's moved back into the you're on the bench, buddy.
Yep.
Because you want your most reliable mags, out where you can actually do reloads and things like that. So, electronical support, whether that's batteries or whatever, that could
radio
be
support.
It could be radios. It could be laptops if you have laptops. That's kind of more specialty items, but yeah, I mean, batteries is incredibly important. A lot of stuff that we use, especially nowadays, is ran off batteries. So make sure you have batteries in every type of battery that you need to run all your individual gear. So,
gotta have it. I'm just thinking about electronical support, dude.
Why?
Just that word, dude, electronical. It just stuck with me. I couldn't shake it. Just mixing electronic and electrical together, dude. Electronical.
Dude, you got to.
Anyways.
You got to, man. Shoot. Well, I guess it's always important to have are you still going with electrical stuff?
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, and going back to that electrical tape too.
Whoa, yeah.
I mean, that's not just used for that, but I'm just saying that's like
for like components and stuff. Yeah,
it's good for components. It's good for a lot of things. So
yeah.
Obviously, having 550 cord or paracord, however you want to call it.
You can do so much with paracord. It's valuable.
It's good for shelters. You can turn ponchos into shelters. You can do a lot with it. Yeah.
Another good thing to have is like tubular nylon.
Yep.
Or like some other types of webbing, but tubular nylon is one of those things that kind of like paracord. It's bigger, bulkier. It's 1 inch, like the standard tubular nylon's 1 inch wide, but it's good stuff. Super strong. You can make like a hasty like harness out of it. You can make a like hasty litter out of it.
Yeah.
You can do recoveries with it. So having some rolled up or like daisy chained tubular nylon is super good to have.
Yeah, which is what I do with my 550 cord too. I daisy chain it up because it's pretty fast. It keeps it tight and stored and doesn't get too like tangled inside of the rucksack. Something I just thought of that we didn't bring up that's incredibly important with food and water is having utensils.
Oh, I think I said cooking tools.
Okay.
But yeah,
anyways,
I
couldn't remember if we talked about that, but yeah, going back to webbing, paracord. Basically, if you want to carry rope, you can, but I think 550 cord and tubular nylon does a really good job, and they're both really strong for what they are.
Yeah, and they both do different enough jobs well that between having both of them, you can do a lot. Yeah,
I would agree. Bushcraft tools. We kind of talked about this in the survival kind of stuff.
Got into axes and stuff.
But yeah, like axes, e-tools, shovels. It kind of depends on the mission set. You can even, it's not bushcraft, but like breaching tools would be kind of in the same vein. Like if you're trying to hit an objective, like on this patrol, like smaller breaching tools, not like crazy huge things, because obviously you got to pack that out with you. But there's a ton of stuff like the little hand saws. You can have hand saws. You can have axes, shovels. Yeah, pretty much that's everything.
A good multi-tool goes a long ways.
Oh yeah, or like even like a good blade.
Yeah,
even.
I think that
usually goes in a chest rig, but or like a belt or whatever. But can't hurt to have a multi-tool. Or honestly, I usually keep a multi-tool in my chest rig as well. But that's, if you want to put one in your ruck, you definitely can. And then there's like specialty equipment that is gonna cover everything from spotting scopes to if you have
tripods.
Tripods. If you
gotta have ghillie stuff.
Yeah.
Like different kind of camouflage considerations. Thermal units. Like specialty equipment is anything that you need for some
thermal
specific
units. There's
mission.
also like thermal camouflage, like the Relv camo nets.
Yep.
They like basically master your thermal or your thermal output, I guess, or whatever I'm trying to say.
Signature.
There we go. That's what I was looking for. So there's a ton of stuff. Camo nets, laptops, like what I was saying. If you got laptops, if you got cameras, if you're going to do reconnaissance, you got cameras, there's a ton of different gear that you potentially could need, and that's where METTC kind of falls back on. Like that, those items are definitely going to be items that are closer to the top of your ruck, or like even if you're doing like an assault like style where you're going to station your ruck, you can have an assault pack packed on top, like what Jacob was saying, where you pack that essential item stuff into a smaller pack, and then you move into like the objective that you're going to. That's a way to do that. Just stage your rucks and rock and roll.
Yeah.
Just don't lose your rucks.
Yeah. Don't lose it.
That'd be ridiculous.
Yeah. Specialty equipment. It always going to be mission specific, but there's some things that you might always have, there's things that, like, in today's fight, thermal signature is a big deal. So you should probably always have a way to defeat thermal.
Yeah.
Even camo netting can go pretty far for that. So.
Yeah.
Kind of back to what you're saying with Relv and stuff like that. They make some really cool stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's probably other things that, that we didn't cover. But that's, I think if you've thought about all of that, and, everything's going to be dictated on how you operate, who you have, who you're with, where you're at, so that's why can't stress enough how important it is to get out there and play around with this stuff. So,
yeah. And then also having an understanding of how to pack things, like what are you going to potentially need like quickly out of your ruck? Obviously your specialty equipment is probably going to need to be somewhat accessible. If you're worried about like maybe your med kits being too small on your kit, maybe your medical surplus, you're going to want to kind of prioritize and have like in a pretty accessible location. Your water purification could be actually pretty readily accessible because, hey, we stumbled upon water. Let's get some water while we're here because I know people are getting low and we don't know when we're going to run into water again. So you don't want to have to be digging like deep into your rucksack just to get that. So I think thinking through like kind of the items that you have and being like, okay, yeah, like if I'm going to go to sleep, obviously I'm not in a huge hurry.
Yeah.
Like if you're in a hurry to go to sleep, then something's weird. Like,
hey man, I've been pretty tired before.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously the faster you go to sleep, the more sleep you usually get. But I'm just saying, like,
I know what you mean.
You shouldn't be in a hurry to go to sleep, especially in that environment.
Well,
like,
and you're not sleeping all the time either. So
No.
like, it's not something you need. Like, I better keep this at the top of my ruck. Like, I nap every 2 hours. Like,
dude, I gotta get a quick one in, dude. A little quickie. But yeah, I mean, like, just be smart, I guess, ultimately. Like, use common sense. Look at the list that we just, kind of went through and be like, yeah, I mean, that obviously this is something I feel like I would need potentially at like a moment's notice versus like, hey, that's something I'm probably maybe not even going to touch the entire mission. I just have it just in case. And that's probably going to not need to be like right there readily available.
yeah.
But, so really quick, I mean, let's talk about fitment and positioning on the rucks.
We're good on contents. We're pretty happy with that.
Well, I mean, unless you got something else on there.
Sounds good to me.
We've kind of covered that stuff. Like, we've gone over different mission. Like, well, we'll cover more in the future as well. But, like, we've gone over, like, reconnaissance-style missions, like, different specific items that you need for that. And then, like, patrolling, we've talked about different things as well. So, I feel like if you're a regular listening audience, then it's like, yeah, I kind of know what kind of things fall into that vein. But
yeah,
pretty much everyone knows what specialty equipment is. It's just going to be like if you're in the military, you're like your issued gear, or if you're like in the civilian side, it's like the gear that you guys share amongst each other. Like, not everyone's cruising around with a spotting scope.
Right.
If they are, then whoa.
Just seeing everything in the world.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So that's how you can also cut down on weight, is having like, hey, you're going to have the spotting scope, or you're going to have the tripod, or you're going to have this,
You're going to have the medical bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you save weight for sure. So, but yeah. So yeah, fitment for rucks. Like, how do you make sure that you're going to be comfy out there?
Yeah. I mean, again, comfortability is, kind of low on the totem pole, but
you also don't want it to be like getting hot spots and like where it's, because like I had a buddy who got kicked out of RASP because what was it called when you went through RIP? Yeah, RIP. He got kicked out because he basically let his kidney pad rub him so raw that he like lost like a couple layers of his epidermis like on his back, and he basically got kicked out over that.
Scabby, dude.
Yeah. So obviously you don't want to be in that situation. Like, you want it to ride where it's supposed to ride. Whether that ruck's actually like made to be comfortable, you want to have it ride the way it was intended to ride.
Yeah.
Because then you're not going to have issues like that.
Yep. So you definitely want to bear the weight on a combination of your shoulders and your hips.
Yep.
So you don't want it all on your shoulders. Actually, if you can run like a kidney pad and you have it on your hips, that's a lot better. Now, with that being said, when you're talking about fighting with a rucksack on, the lower it is, because generally the higher and more in line with your body the pack rides, the more comfortable it's going to be. The weight's more distributed up over your shoulders and waist, hips. But laying down in the prone, that you're going to get, your face is going to get smashed into the ground, and that's not good. You can't see. Gunfighting,
especially if you're wearing a helmet.
Prone. Yeah, if you're rocking a lid, then
just go out and try it if you've never tried it before. Just literally in your living room, just put it on, put a helmet on, and just go lay down right now.
Yeah,
and
have
see
fun
how
getting
well it works.
suplexed into the ground and not able to shoot.
And that's where the Alice pack, I think, it is tried and true as far as like. I will say when you upgrade it, it does ride higher. And that's mostly just because like the kidney pad actually works. But
there's things you can practice, like you can practice the old pop and squat. You pop the
kidney pad,
and then have your shoulders set up so that it kind of sinks down lower onto your back, and then you can get in the prone.
Yep.
So, yeah, there's things you can do.
And then like
practice.
You're going to see different people all over the industry talk about, okay, yeah, I run the kidney pad, or I don't run the kidney pad because, if you have to ditch your bag or if you have to do this or that, like, dude, all I can say, there's not really a right or wrong answer. I will say that the pack was designed for you to use the kidney pad. So if you're doing long movements, you're definitely going to want to use the kidney pad because it does end up taking it out of your shoulders. I will say this, though. When I was in the military and I was only running my pack with an Alice pack, I had my kidney pad strapped to the back.
Yeah.
That wasn't because I was like more effective that way. That's because the kidney pad sucks on the Alice pack.
Yeah, it's bad.
And it doesn't really do much for me.
Yep.
So I just wore all the weight on my shoulders. And there was times that I absolutely hated that. Now that I've upgraded to like an actual good kidney pad, I love the kidney pad. And I will just clip a button and it'll sink down, and I'll fight still in the prone, or I can ditch it or whatever. It's not really hard to like pop a clip. Like,
yeah, it's literally just like it's fast.
And honestly, I have shot in the prone even with it like up, and it's still doable. Like, yeah, it's a little bit like,
yeah, it doesn't ride as high as a lot.
Yeah,
some of those more modern packs, it's something you.
I was about to say
happen.
It rides as high as like any of the other packs that we just named off. Like when you're wearing the kidney pad, like.
Yeah,
Mystery Ranch has the same issue. Like it sits slightly high too, which they're designed to be that way because it is
better.
It's way easier to carry heavy loads when they're up higher, and that's the main reason I was saying earlier. Like pack your bag where the weight's up high because that helps as well. Like if you got it all low and out away from your back, it's gonna like pendulum backwards.
Yeah.
But I will say this: like I run it. I'm not saying you have to. If you really want to not have the kidney pad, then just strap it behind and don't rock it. Just carry it all on your shoulders. It's up to you. But I would just say go out and try the thing because until you go out and actually like train and test your gear, you're not going to really know for yourself. So don't just like don't follow what me and Jacob are saying. Don't follow what other people are saying until you go out and like do it for yourself. Try different things.
Yeah. That goes across the board. I see a lot of people that are just like, well, someone I really like said that, so my favorite gun influencer said this, so that's just the way it is now. And it's like, have you actually used that, or have you actually tried that, or have you actually, like, ran whatever piece of equipment they're talking about, or technique, or whatever? And it's like, you can't accept something as gospel until you've actually ran it through its paces to see if it's going to work for you. There's a reason there's so much different stuff on the market.
Yeah,
in this world, like different packs, different optics, different everything,
different body types, man.
Yep,
there's different body types, and there's different like some things just work for other people, and some things don't.
Yeah,
and that's just the way it is. Like that, you
saw that until you've tried it personally, you really don't. I'm not saying you don't have an opinion on it, but you don't really have an opinion on it. I mean, I don't want to be like a grouchy old, guy, but. It's like the biggest example for that I see is the whole ACOG LPVO conversation. It's like, at some point it's like I've seen a lot of people talking about, like trying to line people out on it. And it's like, have you used either? Well, no, but this guy has used it a lot. And it's like, so like either one they're both great, and you see the same thing. I'm just using that as an example. You see the same thing with like packs. You have guys that are like, well, why would you use the Alice pack? Like, it hasn't existed since, it was issued back in like Vietnam, and it's just weird that you would still use it. You should only run a, Kafaru pack or whatever. And it's like, what pack do you have? I have a 511 pack. You're like, what's going on? So it's just try
That's
stuff.
just this
Try stuff.
industry in general,
But you can take this information and make an educated decision, because this stuff is investments. It's expensive to get this stuff. It's not cheap. And part of that Minuteman cross to bear is that it's all volunteer. We got to buy this stuff. You got to buy it yourself.
Yep.
So, make an educated decision. Do your homework. Do your research. Listen to stuff like this. Go watch YouTube videos. There's a ton of people putting the info out. Draw your conclusions, and then try to make the best bet. But don't get so tunneled in on something like, man, I spent good money on this and I just don't like it. I have to like force myself to use this. At that point, that's where, and it's happened a lot to me. It's like, well, this thing sucks. Like this cost me $700, but I just don't really like it. I guess I'm going to try this one. And then I have ended up finding a way better solution for me doing that right there. And then you can usually sell it. Or, if you're with a group of guys, try to hook up one of your buddies with it.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like I'll give this to you at like a cheap thing, or, there's guys in our group and, that have kind of done stuff like, just hang on to it, use it. And if you end up liking it, then just, pay it off over time or just, whenever you can afford it. And it's like, that's a nice way to do things too. 'Cause it keeps like, it equips other people. You're still going to get a return on your investment in a way, even if you don't get paid for it, because it's like someone in your inner circle, your team is running it. So there's all kinds of things. So don't get too like purchase loyal or like recommendation loyal on stuff until you've actually like put in the time on it. Actually go test stuff out. I can't stress that enough.
Yeah, and like if you have a store that you can go try on packs and they got like good, like some of the packs that we listed, dude, go try them on, man.
Yeah.
See if like the people there, most of the time they're okay with like, hey, is it okay if I like actually like try to simulate the weight here a little bit, like actually put like a little bit of weight in it and see what it's all about? Like, I mean, if they say no, whatever.
Some places have those, like I know like REI and stuff will have, like those sandbags.
Yeah.
And they're like, here's a 60-pound sandbag, put it in the bag.
Yep.
It's cool.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's incredibly important to actually, if you can try before you buy, that's awesome. If not, then that's just the way it is. Like if you're in Alaska like us, sometimes you just can't try before you buy.
Yeah. You got to order
sometimes
stuff.
It's, hey, let me test. Well, if you got a group though, you kind of can try before you buy.
Yeah.
Like if you like got someone, like I always tell guys that like we got some guys that we're good buddies with that train with us and stuff that haven't been in this industry, like doing this thing for very long. And I'm like, man, you're coming in at such a good advantage. Like, yeah, you got to buy a lot more than the rest of us, but you don't have to make mistake buys. Like you can literally try on different gear that people are running and be like, hey, I actually like this over that. So I'm going to get that. So that's pretty cool too. So if you're just getting into this and you find like a group of guys, dude, test on their stuff. Like test as much stuff as you can from them and see, okay, I actually like this. I'm gonna go with that. One more thing, and that is, what do you think of rucksack covers?
Oh yeah, so rucksack covers. Obviously, Steven mentioned them earlier. So obviously they make them for like rainproofing or like waterproofing your ruck.
Yeah.
Again, not a massive fan of that. And the reality is your ruck's probably going to get wet. It's more about how you pack your stuff on the inside, kind of like we talked about. We're both big fans of running waterproof sacks. You can categorize that way. There's different things like that that you can do. But for camouflage considerations, it's very important. Now, if you have like an earth tone ruck, obviously pick a rucksack color that makes sense for the area that you're in.
Yeah.
Don't get some weird color that's like, well, all they had in stock was like, this black bag. Like black is not a natural color. It's going to stick out like a sore thumb. Or like if you live in a super tropical area and you got like FDE and that tan is just flashing really hard in the wood line, things like that. So, but if you do have to do that, you can solve that problem with a rucksack cover. You can get an actual like camouflaged cover. There's ones that use like kind of a ghillie style, so it's like a camo net kind of setup. You can actually use camo nets and just string them up.
Yeah, we always we'd get you can get those like thinner bungee cords, and you can literally just like route them through the entirety of the camo net and just spring it right on over top of the rock.
If you're in snowy environments, then you're starting to get into like overwhite territory. So being able to white out your ruck is worth being able to do, because there's nothing easier to see than a dark, bulky object moving across an open white area. Your eye catches it immediately. It's like, oh, that's something moving out there. Well, it's people. Let's shoot them. Yep. Like it's super fast. It's easy positive identification. So being able to completely conceal your signature, your visible signature, by just whiting yourself out against a white backdrop is important.
And obviously understand when and when not to use over whites.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that in the future. We actually, if you're interested in that, we do have a post on our Instagram. So if you follow our Instagram, scroll down and you'll see like a picture of somebody in
over whites.
Yeah, which I think is me, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't remember who did it.
It was you.
Okay. I couldn't remember if it was you or me, but yeah, it is me. Yep. Anyways, it doesn't matter. We'll do more in the future on that too, because it's a big topic and it's something that a lot of people mess up, and understandable. It's a pretty unique camouflage technique that's not applicable to a lot of areas. So yeah, covers, and you can double them. Like so for me personally, I have an over white rucksack cover, and I use it like a sack, and that's where I keep all my overwhites.
Yeah.
So if it's overwhite time, I usually, in the wintertime, you usually rock overwhite bottoms, and then you have like a camo top.
Yeah.
It's breaking up your legs are down on the lower area, so it's against white snow ground, and then your upper body's up in the tree line usually, so it's against a vegetated backdrop. So that's kind of the standard configuration if you're not above the tree line. But I usually keep my overwhite top and like mittens and hats and stuff like that.
And that's readily available. That's another thing I was going to say about layers, gloves and hats.
Yeah.
We didn't really touch that, but that's kind of like if you're in cold weather, like it should be something you have, like warm hats and warm gloves.
Yep.
For sure. But yeah, the beanie, man, hard to beat.
Super hard to beat. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's super important for, obviously, to camouflage. Like if you have like a weirdly bright pack and that's all you have, you're definitely going to want a ruck cover. But I think the most like the area that I see it the most is probably in like either above tree line in the snow, or like crossing a big field that's just nothing but white, going over whites, just having a ruck cover that's white. It's super simple. And you can get those from a lot of, if you're from a northern area, like if there's a military base that's up and you're up north, you can get those from like surplus stores for super cheap. And if not, then you can find them for not too expensive as well. But yeah. Well, I think that's all we're going to cover today on packs.
Yeah. I think we nailed a lot of things down. Covered a lot of good points. Hopefully we did. Hopefully that gives you a good kind of baseline foundation to start on if you're trying to figure out, what kind of ruck to get and what needs to go in it. I think this is a super good place to start, this information here.
Yeah.
Just trying to get more info out there for people. Again, sorry for a little bit of the delay in between episodes. We should be back to a regular release schedule again. We're going to stack a couple up and buffer it out a little bit and we're going to try to stay on that 1 week release again. I will say though, it might go bi-weekly here and there. Just hang in there. That just means we're getting stuff done. There's a lot of stuff that has to get done around here. We've got a lot of holster orders as always, that we're knocking out. We've actually been cranking those out. We've been catching up. But we just got done with Black Friday, so there's a whole slew more that just got added on. So
Yep.
we got to stay on that. We got to keep customers happy. But we want to keep, as we move into 2023 here, we're going to start to really focus in on training and educational content more than we already have. I'm really looking forward to pushing into that a lot more. We're going to continue our Minuteman layout series. So we're going to talk a little bit more about what's coming up next. We're not 100% sure yet. There might be an episode or two in between that change focus a little bit, but there will be more parts to the Minuteman layout series, the Modern Minuteman layout. We're also mirroring this topic on our Instagram. So we've been having a post series that we have been working on. Load-bearing equipment should be dropping here shortly. And we've got some nice graphics we've built to kind of break that stuff down. Trying to cover all the bases here, the visual learners, audio learners, hands-on learners.
And you hands-on learners, you got to go out and do it.
That's on you. But yeah, I'm really glad we got to sit down, dude. This is fun to kind of kick our boots off literally and kick back and take a little time to just chat about something that's just fun.
Man.
This stuff is sick.
Well, until next time.
Yeah.